Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to day 3 here at the Nova Scotia Scotties Tournament of Hearts, Provincial Ladies Championship. We're here at the Mayflower Curling Club for draw number 4 for the women. We are featuring two teams that are trying to get on track here this week. They've had a little bit of struggle early. Did speak with both teams. They both felt pretty good about how their games were, how they were playing in their games, but they just hadn't been able to get on the right side of the scoreboard as yet. Christie Gamble's team, playing out of the Mayflower Curling Club here in Halifax, is throwing yellow stones and starting off this game by throwing a guard with their very first rock. So Christie's ready to get at it pretty early, and it is early for these teams. It's a long week. 9 o'clock is a normal work day, but to be up early and get into the curling club, featuring warming up and throwing practice stones and all that stuff, makes for an early day for sure. Christie's taking on Colleen Pinkney, who's throwing the blue stones here. Colleen, former world senior champion out of the Truro Curling Club, and just up the road, 45 miles or so. Colleen's great team, great players, great ladies, and great curlers. Sue Creelman, a little bit heavy on that one. Teams do get practice, but that's it's not a lot of rocks. It's only 8 minutes of practice, and then do the draw to the button. And sometimes it takes an end or two to kind of get a real good feel for draw weight, even on day 3 of an event like this. Christie's going to ask Mary Mattatall. Mary's filling in this week. She's not a regular on this team. Mary has her own team that plays both Scotties and is playing seniors as well. Great senior team. There's some really good seniors teams this year in Nova Scotia. And one of Christie's players was unable to compete this week, so she asked Mary to play. I think a great pickup. Mary's a world of experience, done a lot of coaching, a lot of playing at the national level. Just a real good player, knows the game super well. So certainly a help for the maybe slightly less experienced Christie Gamble team. So a couple of guards out front. That was a come around, but that's not a bad spot where it ended up. It actually over curled, and everybody doing a lot of cleaning out there, so it's possible it did grab a little something on its way down the sheet. My name's Jim Nixon. I'm here at least for a little while. We were waiting for a couple of people to get in that haven't been able to beat the traffic here this morning. Sue Creelman going to be playing the intern come around. This team qualified for the provincials, playing in the women's qualifier in Shelburne, Nova Scotia back in December, and they actually had to play the whole weekend without their skip, Colleen Pinkney, who was sick at home and just couldn't compete. But after a couple of changes of lineup and just alternating, their 5th player came into the game, Hennigar came in and played, and they played great, and they managed to qualify through that event, and more power to them. Certainly indicates how good a team they are and how well they manage, because it's not easy when you lose your skip in a competition, as you can imagine. Pretty good shot there by Sue. She's a little bit back of the house. Not exactly where you'd like to be, but not bad for the first end. Kaitlyn Veitch? I'm not sure. I did know how to say her last name before. Yeah. I should have known, because there's a couple of jokes that go with that, I think, but we just will avoid the jokes this morning. It's Kaitlyn Veitch. Whatever it is, Kaitlyn perfect on that shot. She sure made a good one for her first shot of the game. Puts it right on the button behind all the guards. Terrific shot. Kaitlyn, one of a few left-handers in the field this week. Not a lot of lefties, but there certainly are a few. Shelley MacNutt going to be asked to play the double peel. Those double peels and high weight shots are a little bit of a challenge for this team. They don't quite have the power that some of the younger teams might have, but sometimes if you can get it in the right spot and hit it in the right place, then the power is not quite as big a deal. Good shot there by Shelley. Leaves one guard, but that was probably going to happen no matter what. You're trying to make a double peel, and you have to hit it almost on the nose to make it. Pretty hard to get rid of everything. So Kaitlyn will basically be duplicating this shot, maybe a little bit shorter. I didn't quite see the call. She might be just going to top of the 12-foot, but coming right around on top wouldn't be bad either. Brigitte MacPhail and Mary Mattatall working the brooms in this shot. So it looks like she must have played the straight guard, because they don't seem to be working too hard to get it get it there, and that's going to end up in a pretty good spot. So Colleen will try once again, probably to make the double peel if the rocks are lined up in the right way. You just have to hit one of them on the outside, about a half a rock, and probably can make it with whichever one you hit. Shelley being asked to play this shot on the out turn. This is going to probably overcurl a little bit. And not a good result there. That's unfortunate, because now you've actually made it a fair bit worse, because it's hard now. You can't run it back. And I think Colleen might have been thinking about running that one back. I would like to have seen her just play the straight peel and just make sure you get rid of it. And you just can't afford to end up where that one ended up. And now it takes you 2 shots to get to the one in the house. Brigitte will be asked to play the out turn here. Out turn, come around those guards, at least to the top of the 12-foot, but I think with those guards, I'd be coming right on to top of mine and on the button. And if you're going to steal one, you might as well steal 2. A chance to work with this team a little bit at the Turning Point School in New Glasgow at the start of the year, and Daryl Morris in town to help us out with that. And great group of girls. They didn't get a chance to work a long time with them, but certainly open to working with somebody to help make their game better, and that's a lot of fun when you're trying to coach people. So, good shot by Brigitte. It could have been better, but it's not bad. Just still continues to make the clearing shot for the Pinkney team much more difficult. Now you got 3 rocks, you kind of got to move out of the way, and it's just going to take a couple shots. Wendy Currie, the Pinkney third. Back now, Wendy's a terrific player. Has been a great player for a long time. Stepped away from the game for a little while, I think. I remember seeing her playing in ladies many years ago, and then, well, not that many years ago, but quite a few years ago. And then she appeared again at the senior level when she reached the magic age of 50, and never seemed to lose much. She's really just a terrific player, and again, somebody that knows the game real well, and ended up being the skip in Shelburne for 3 or 4 games. So lots of games going on again this morning. We have 4 draws out here today. You actually have sort of a split down the middle here. The 4 teams at the top of the field are all on the left side of your screen over on sheets 2 and 3, and the 4 teams that are trying to get back up there on sheets 4 and 5. And really at this point, you kind of need these top teams to beat themselves up a little bit and bring somebody back, because you have on sheet 2, I'll just give you the rundown. Sheet 2, we have Arsenault and Brothers, both teams at 3-0. On sheet 3, Colleen Jones and Teresa Breen, and Colleen's at 3-0 as well, and Teresa's at 2-1, and Teresa's one of the top 2 seeds coming into this. So obviously 4 really good teams over there, and they're going to start playing each other for the next 3 draws, and that's good and bad. That means that somebody's going to get knocked down a little bit, but 2 of them are going to probably rise to the top, and 2 of those 4 teams are going to most likely be the qualifiers here for the playoffs, and everybody else is playing for 1 spot. Our sheet, as I mentioned, 2 teams at 0-3 trying to get on track. And on sheet 5, we have Julie McAvoy and Emily Dwyer, both who lost games yesterday that I think they felt very strongly they should have won. Julie played Marianne Arsenault and managed to give up 2 in the last end, but really missed a shot that she never misses on her last one that gave Marianne a chance to draw for 2. And Colleen Jones stole the last end against Colleen Pinkney when she was in a whole lot of hurt. There was a lot of trouble, and she made a great angle raise, 12 or 15 foot angle raise from what I understand. I didn't see that shot. I was talking to Colleen Pinkney's team this morning, and really made it almost impossible for Colleen to score, and she didn't. So I think 2 teams that feel that, another one that got away that they should have had, but that's what curling's all about. Doesn't matter what you think, you got to do it out on the ice. So the Gamble team in pretty good shape here. They've got 1 on the button, 1 at the 12 of the 12, and they're throwing a guard. Counting 1 early on here at the Tournament of Hearts at the Mayflower Curling Club. Lots of tickets available, no problem coming in for a game. $5 gets you in the door for single draw, $25, which is actually still a pretty good deal because there's lots of playoff games, and playoff games are $10 a draw to get into. So for $25, you can still cover the rest of the games. And we've got 3 draws today, 4 tomorrow, and 2 semifinals and 2 finals, and maybe a tiebreaker here or there. So for $25, I don't think you can beat it if you're even a little bit of a curling fan, and if you're not, good chance to see what it's about. Great shot by Christie Gamble there. Pretty much seals that one off really well. Might see Colleen Pinkney change shots here. I try to play something a little different. Colleen's game really is a touch kind of game and a really aggressive game. I think she got away from that for a couple ends yesterday against Colleen Jones, and I don't know that that's what you want to do. If you have a style that your team likes and excels at and isn't uncomfortable playing, then I think you just stay with that. But she's definitely in trouble here. I'm going to be hard to get shot rock, and she's kind of having another look as she comes down the sheet. Thinking maybe the out turn might be a little bit easier, and it might be, but I still think if it was me, I'd be peeling those guards. Colleen, although they're not a high hard one kind of team, but Colleen can throw a little bit of weight. Not sure that this is going to get you much, because I think if you make this shot, you're already number 2, and if you make this shot, I think Christie's just going to guard the one you're throwing, and you're not going to have a chance to make it on the next one anyways. But it will give you a chance to throw 2 draws here in the first end, and that's never a bad thing. Unless it's against 4 or 5 or something, then it's not real good, but this situation is not too bad. It's interesting as the week goes on, the volume on the ice surface, particularly on the men's side, gets much, much louder. The intensity builds, and I'm sure it will here too. In another few ends, I think you'll be hearing lots of hollering out there. Well, first stand on sheet 2 is in the books, and Marianne Arsenault picks up 2. I don't know who had a hammer in that game, but my guess is Marianne probably had hammer and gets her deuce early on. So Colleen's out-turn draw here coming down, looking pretty good. Maybe we saw the sheet a couple times yesterday, and it will curl. Wow, she might have a shot that I didn't even think was there. That is a great shot. I honestly didn't think that you could make that shot with a little bit of weight. So terrific shot by Colleen Pinkney. About back 12-foot weight. Well called, well swept, well managed down the sheet. So all of a sudden, Christie, who I thought had one kind of locked up, and she probably did too, has to actually make a pretty good shot to avoid giving up a couple here. Or maybe even 3. So you got to be really careful with this shot. She threw a guard on her last one, so she'll definitely need a little more, but doesn't have to be too aggressive with this shot. Anything short's not completely bad. Not short out by the hog line short, but short at the top of the 12-foot's not too bad. Pretty good looking shot coming down here. I think the weight looks pretty good, and Brigitte sweeping it. Just one sweeper in this one, trying to use a little bit of the directional sweeping theory. I think they've got the right idea. Just a great shot. I did watch Christie's first game as well, and she played great. She played really well, and just got beat. Sometimes you play well and you got beat. So she continues a good play here. That was a terrific shot. Throw to the back of the button, and now you've got situation Colleen Pinkney has to follow her down to take her 1 point. And this time I'm absolutely sure she can't get the yellow one out. So pretty aggressive first end here in day 3. 2 teams that are, as I said, trying to get on track and struggling just a little bit off this week so far at 0-3, but much like the game I did last night, where the 2 men's teams were 0-3, and they came out and they shot the lights out, played great game, and teams, just because they're 0-3, are struggling along a little bit here. They really aren't bad curling teams. They're all great curling teams. They had to work hard to get here, and they played a lot of events, most of them, and certainly deserve to be here. And sometimes the difference between 3-0 and 0-3 is not very much. So Christie steals one in the first end. We tied up there for a second. Didn't really catch the end, but stealing one for the Gamble team, and you can tell already that the noise is getting up there. You see the girls at the other end of the sheet are trying to find out what Christie wants, and they're hollering, and she can't hear, so they're tapping the ice all over the place, and they got it figured out. So she's going to throw it in the forefoot, much as you'll see a lot of teams do, and when they don't hammer early in the game, whether the score is 1-0, nothing. So Christie Gamble with a 1-0 lead after one end to play here is going to put it in the house and make Colleen decide how she wants to approach this end. Colleen's pretty aggressive. I'm not so sure you won't see her go walk right up and throw the corner guard no matter where this one ends up. Unless it's short, then she's probably coming around it. And it is not the end of the world. That's, there's two shots you can play there, the draw to the house or the guard. So she just had a 50% chance of getting that right. Sue Creelman to be asked to play the out turn come around. Sue's a real solid lead stone in women's curling. I've seen her play a lot now over the last few years, and she likes the position, and she really excels at the draw weight, and just does a terrific job of setting up rocks for the way Colleen Pinkney wants to play the game. Girls working hard here. This one's curling pretty hard. Little tick's not bad. Maybe a little bigger tick would have been better, but that's okay. Ice has been terrific all week here. It's been a treat for the players. I haven't heard anybody complain about anything. I think one or two draws we had maybe as tiny as a little bit of fudging in the last end or something, but fudging just being where the rock slows down a little bit as the ender comes into the center of the sheet. But at the competitive level, that happens a lot in a lot of the big events because the men on the men's side particularly, they're just bigger and stronger guys, and they just beat the pebble down, and it's pretty hard to have that pebble hold up sometimes. But John Wall and his guys have just done an amazing job, and they've held the curl too. Another thing that the host committee, and certainly myself was thinking what might be a problem, where the ice might get a little straighter as we went on, and that hasn't happened. So kudos to John and the group working on the ice here. They're doing a great job. And yesterday and tomorrow yesterday was a challenge. Tomorrow will be a challenge. 4 draws in a day is tough on everybody, and it's tough on the ice crew too. You get an extra end somewhere, and all of a sudden they've got to get 4 sheets ice ready, and they've got about 25 minutes to do it, maybe half an hour, and that's not very much time. So Mary made the little hit and roll behind the guard, and Sue Creelman for the Colleen Pinkney team will be asked to do the same thing as on her previous shot, which she was just maybe a touch light and rub the guard. This one looks a little better. Speed looks better. Girls are sweeping hard. These guys haven't really bought into the whole directional sweeping thing full bore yet, because you can see they're both sweeping here, where a lot of teams right now would be just one guy or one girl on the outside of the stone. Although that was pretty light. Sometimes when they're light, you better just get it there, not worry too much about all that stuff. So Kaitlyn Veitch, left-hander, so this is going to be Kaitlyn's in-turn. We might forget that a couple times along the way and call it the wrong turn, but that's all right. That's a good-looking throw by Kaitlyn there. Nice slide. Watched her play quite a bit over the last while, and occasionally she kind of throws it across the body a little bit, and just causes herself a little bit of trouble if she's throwing it too hard. But that was great weight control, great throw, great result. Good for her. So Colleen doesn't really like to leave too many yellow ones around. She's going to play a little hit and roll here and try to set up her 2 that way, rather than she could come right around those and come right into the forefoot. And I wouldn't be surprised to see her do that in a couple ends, but right now this is pretty early, and you don't want to play yourself into a big end or something here. Unless it's yours. Good shot. Would have liked a little roll, but that's not too bad. Kaitlyn throwing the same shot she just threw in the last one. A little more weight on this one. Probably going to hit it on the nose, I would imagine. Yeah. Good shot. Great spot when you don't have last rock. And even when you do, that's a good place to have stones in that, that 1 foot area or so out in front of the rings is a great spot to control. The commonly known control zone. I think Linda Moore back many years ago coined that phrase, and certainly indicative of how the game goes. When you do have rocks in that area, you do generally control what happens in the end. So the Pinkney team going to the other turn. I don't know. Looked a little bit of confusion on what they were playing there. I'm not quite sure. Looks like Colleen was looking for the out turn, and Shelley threw the in turn. The good news is it hit something, which sometimes it doesn't happen when you throw the wrong turn. Not that throwing the wrong turn happens a whole lot at this level. The Wednesday night mixed league maybe a few times, but not usually in the Women's Provincial Championships. So it gives the Gamble team a great opportunity here to come around 2 guards, bury it, maybe pick up another steal. Brigitte MacPhail. Throw this one. Talking to Bridget's dad last night. Brigitte from Grand Falls, New Brunswick. Her dad, Harry, played a lot up there, played a lot of the old McCain Super Spiels when they had them, and I was lucky enough to play in that once for a day or so. Didn't really fare that great, but we had a great time, and it was a pretty cool event that McCain's put on up there. So not a bad shot. Again, a little short. Doesn't do exactly what they wanted to do, but if you're going to miss it, that's a good place to miss it. You don't want to be at the back of the 8 foot or something like that. Colleen has no choice but to play it. And really, worst case scenario for the Gamble team, you're going to have a wide open hit in a minute to sit 2 again. Wendy Currie has no trouble with that. Nice control weight. Like to see the teams throwing that kind of weight. Sometimes you need a little more, but most of the time on this ice, just as long as you don't throw it too light, like you don't baby it down there too much, the rock will run straight, and with the brooms you can do just about anything you want to do to it. So good shot. A little tougher shot here for Brigitte. Way out in the edge of the 12 foot. It's always harder out there. I've never really quite understood why, but it's got to have something to do with the psychological part of the game, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. If you took the boards away and the center line away and just threw it out there, it probably wouldn't be that hard of a shot. Anyway, dandy shot. Stays for shot rock, and good end for Brigitte. So Colleen says now, well, we're not going to get 2 by hitting that one, so I'm going to go, because she really does not like being forced to 1 point. She's a pretty aggressive skip. Definitely has confidence in her abilities to make the last one. And she says, well, okay, Wendy, coming around it. And if we make it, we're going to be in great shape to get a couple. And if we don't make it, I'm going to bail you out at the end and make my last one and score 1. Which might be what she has to do, because this looks really heavy. I was a little deceiving upstairs here at the Mayflower. I find everything looks heavy to me, but on one of those rare occasions, I was actually right on this one, so that's great. Gives the Gamble rink a chance to do the same thing all over again. Try to come around and bury it and see if she can squeeze out a steal here in the second end. So far, the Gamble rinks probably had a little bit of the better of the play here. Today, first end, Colleen was pretty much in trouble the whole end till her first shot, when she made a great shot that I didn't think she could make, but she made it. And this end really has been kind of all Gamble. This end, it really hasn't been anything good for the Pinkney team. They've been just that little bit off and haven't been able to force anything. Christie throws a really nice stone. Christie Gamble also the chair of this event here this week, so she's been busy, and she's trying to, park the chair duties all week while she's curling, and she's done a pretty good job with that, I think, and turning over the reins to her committee, which is an awesome committee. I worked with them a little bit in my role with the NSCA as a liaison for this event, and just a great group, small group, but a mighty group, and that's what you really like to have sometimes. Events that I've had in the past, numbers are great for volunteers, but sometimes if you have a small core group that just gets the job done, that's a lot easier to manage. So, and along with Melanie Hughes, the manager here at the Mayflower Curling Club, who's also co-chair, vice chair, whatever the title is for this event, and anyway, assumed the rest of Christie's duties during this week. So, great job by the group. Club looks great. Ice is great. People are having a good time. Lots of people here. Food's good. Had a lot of that over the last couple days. And a pretty good shot by Christie. Didn't quite bury. Certainly Colleen can get to it, but not a bad effort. It's going to be hard for Colleen to get to it and get inside of it, I think, which is what she really needs to do here. But a little out turn, about 2 feet ice, probably somewhere around the area of maybe about hack weight, I think. I don't see her throwing much more than hack weight. So it's on its way. Looks pretty good. Curls on a little bit. I think they need to get off it. This is where if you were a believer in the directional, you'd see Sue Creelman would be sweeping this pretty hard to try to get it to curl. Might have overthrew it a little bit. Well, it's a pretty nice weight, I think probably just a little bit less ice. So Pinkney in pretty big trouble here after that miss, and be interested to see where Christie puts this. A couple of options. You can go short for sure. You can come right in on top of it and just get to the inside and just make it that much harder. Christie indicating she's going to go right on the DE of Deloitte and guard this rock and probably take any chance of scoring away from Colleen Pinkney, other than possibly playing an in-off on the rock in the 12-foot on the left-hand side. Big development on sheet 3, where Colleen Jones actually tried to draw against 2 and tapped one of Teresa Breen's up, and Teresa steals 3 in the second end. We'll be joined here in a couple of minutes by our main cog in the TV1 announcer reigns in our group, Selena Thompson. Selena's, unlike me, who doesn't have to work for a living these days, at being retired, she does, and just probably had a little something going on. We'll find out the scoop here in a minute. Talked a little bit with Selena the last couple of days. She's been pretty busy. Realtor by trade, and you got to work when you got to work in that profession. So, Christie Gamble's last shot coming in here looks pretty good. She doesn't want to curl much more than where it is right now. That does the job. Good work by the sweepers. And Colleen probably can score one because it did curl maybe a little bit further than she'd like and didn't go quite as deep as she'd like, but she's got to make a heck of a shot throwing against 3 and has to get just about a piece of the button to score, and certainly capable of doing so. But it's tough. Second end, drawing against 3. Over on sheet 2, Joe Brothers wasn't phased by Marianne's 2 in the first end and came right back with a 3 of her own and leads 3-2 after 2 ends. And Julie McAvoy on sheet 5, I think stole one. I'm not totally sure, but anyway, scored 1 in the second end and leads 1-0 after 2 ends. So Colleen Pinkney's draw is on the way. She's going to have to find the weight. She was a little bit heavy with her last shot, which was a tap shot, basically. Girls are great judges of weight, these two, and seen them enough. Better stop, though. This one's looking a little heavy as well, but I think it's going to dig in for number 2. Christie Gamble gets on it, but in typical fashion of a skip. Oh, she defies the odds. She gets it out and steals 2. Most skips have a hard time sweeping those ones out. So after 2 ends, Christie Gamble picks up a steal and leads 3-0 over Colleen Pinkney here at the Tournament of Hearts, the Mayflower Curling Club. We're glad you joined us, and we're glad that Selena is now on board.
Yes, it's been a little bit of a busy couple of days for me, but happy to be here watching the curling and able to let you off your lone commentator duties. You're welcome to stick around. And
yeah, I came here thinking I was number 3 on the chain of command, and I leapt right up there to number 1 for a little while.
Yep, it's people are saying it's not a busy market in Halifax, but I'll take what I can get and do the work when I can. So
yeah, it's probably it certainly would be a little more difficult than sometimes I would imagine these days. I know in New Glasgow where I am, there's not a lot of action in the real estate world, but I do live in a neighborhood where there's a lot of houses bought and sold on a regular basis, and they do seem to be selling a few these days at least, which is nice because I had a couple of friends that had theirs for sale for well over a year. It's a challenge when the economy's a little slow for sure.
So I caught the end of the last end, Jim. But any stories you've noticed the first 2 ends? I heard you mention that Team Gamble kind of had control of the last end completely, and obviously, stealing 2, sitting 3 before calling Pinkney through. Well,
you know what's happened here so far really is Colleen Pinkney's team lives by the draw game, and they just haven't quite had it yet, and they will get it, but it's unfortunately they're just a little bit slow in picking it up, and they're down 3-0. They haven't been real sharp. They've been a little heavy, a little light, haven't quite made shots. Colleen made a great shot in the first end, as I mentioned, to almost steal one, but Christie made a better one right behind her, or not to steal one, but almost to set up a 2 even. But they just haven't been there yet. The draw weight's just not been quite right, and even on a shot like this, you can see the Sue's great lead, but they had to work awful hard on that one just to get it there. So just a little bit off, and the draw weight and the gamble rinks played well. They've looked pretty good this morning. So that's really all it is. Just a matter of just the Pinkney team just not really being there and getting outplayed right now.
So in terms of standings as well, you probably mentioned earlier both these teams at 0-3. So in a situation where they're kind of getting their backs up against the wall a little bit with having to win some games and try and make it to that weekend. I think there's still a chance they can be. There's 2 teams at 3-0, but they happen to be playing each other right now. That's Arsenault and 3 teams at 2-0, 2 of which are playing each other. Arsenault brothers, and of course Colleen Jones is as well, and down 4 right now to Teresa Breen. So could have some interesting results after this. Perhaps only one team
undefeated.
Undefeated.
We know there's going to be one. There's no question about that. It's just a matter of how many there are. I think you're right. I would take the little bit away for backs up against the wall for these teams. Really lose this game and you're not playing on the weekend, I would dare say. And as much as we had last night, you and I did the game last night, exact same situation. Guys all you can do when you're 0-3 is say, well, let's go play and let's try to win 4 and hope that it's enough. But you got to win 1 before you can win 4. So
exactly, yeah, one game at a time.
Yep. Yeah, a bit of a cliche, but it's true and it's real, and you really can't look too far ahead. Found that maybe a little bit with your brother's game last night, Stewart's game last night. I don't know if he's looking ahead or not, but he had the 6-0 lead after 2 ends and ended up having to go an extra end to pull that one out. So, maybe you just get a little guilty of getting a little ahead of yourself and thinking, okay, well, we got this one now. What's going on after this? And all of a sudden somebody makes a few shots. You're playing a pretty good team, and all of these teams are good on the ladies' side and men's side. And if you fall asleep a little bit, they're coming back.
Yeah, you can't really ease up. So, Jim, you're mentioning there, Stewart was playing Jamie Murphy, who happens to be the top seed, the top qualifier for the event. So that may be part of the reason it was tough to hold off that much of a lead. And good for Murphy to come back from being down 6 after 2.
Great shot by Kaitlyn Veitch there. And we did, by the way, Selena, I did promise her fan base here that we wouldn't use the peach thing. We just wouldn't go there.
Nope.
So like on a shot like that,
so
you could be tempted to use it. We can't use that.
It's okay that you mentioned the joke as long as you didn't use it.
Yeah, as long as we don't use it. So anyway, great shot. She's played a good game so far. Can't be pretty happy with that. The whole team's played a good game at the Gamble Rink. So it's going to be up to Shelley MacNutt to make something happen here. Shelley's having a little trouble with the weight, even on the takeout. Everything's light right now, and I don't know what's going on, but they might get this one by. I'm not quite sure what the shot was, but I would think that she was trying to move that a little bit, and really she only had top button weight, so at best, maybe even only top forefoot weight without the brooms, and just a little bit underthrowing.
Yeah, unfortunately ticks the front one, but doesn't move it over quite far enough to be useful as a corner guard or some kind of protection on the side of the forefoot. It's still functioning as sort of a center guard there, so it'll be a little bit more work to do for Team Pinkney to get some blue rocks in good position in the rings. We'll also have to deal with probably 3 Yellowstones in there after this. One of Kaitlyn's.
That one
she could
may
stick
or may
around.
not stay, but that won't matter to Colleen. She won't be playing that rock anyways. But so you're looking at the weight call here is backline weight or back 8-foot weight. Just bump it back. Try to create a little bit of not necessarily a wall back there, but at least just get some stones back there that make Christie's team have to work a little harder at getting them out. Maybe pick up a jam somewhere and get back in this thing. This looks a little better. It was a nice throw. I really like the way she threw that rock. It was a nice handle on it, and it's probably the weight she needed on the last shot, I think, Selena. Good shot by Shelley.
I think so too. I'm looking at the ice Colleen's giving, and haven't seen a ton of draws in this game, but based on the way it was curling the other night, even just adding that couple feet, the ice looked a touch bit tight for any kind of draw weight. So that could be the other reason that they're curling, even if Shelley's throwing the correct weight and maybe just, they're playing them too cute to the guards.
Yep. Brigitte MacPhail will now try to play the out-turn hit. I think she turned that in a little bit, but I'm not really in the right spot to look at. Doesn't look too bad now, I guess. I don't think I've called one of those right all week. Up here, it's just a little bit hard to tell. You see somebody gets the body maybe just a little bit offline, and you feel like they're kind of moving around a little bit with the arm, but that was pretty good. Best she could do. I don't think there was any way to get it and get under it, so great shot. It's all about execution. I talked a little bit with the Gamble team and a game or two ago, and it really sometimes you wonder, well, what did you need to do better? And at the end of the day, you just needed to make the shots better. It's not that you just called anything wrong. You just got to make shots, and you got to execute. Have to execute, I guess, would be better language. Little out turn come around by Wendy Currie. This one looks real good if it's got the legs to get there. Sliding into the 8-foot. We got shot rock. Not quite, but a great shot. Would have been nice to be shot rock, but
not bad. Totally buried. So Christie's got to deal with it because it's that's a potential counter for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
She'll ask Brigitte to throw the relatively short run back.
Girls working hard on this one. This one curling a little bit. I don't think they're going to hold it. Close, good try. She rolled over, guarded her shot rock actually in the back, kind of, so that's not all bad. I decided in my game a run back now is anything that's not frozen is a run back. So if it's 2 or 3 inches in front, I'm calling that a run back for me.
So anything that doesn't enact the drag effect.
Oh yeah, anything just outside the drag effect is definitely a run back. We'll explain that sometime. We did talk about it one time way back early in the round when we had an opportunity. Somebody played one, but so Wendy Currie will be coming down to the back one, I think, or just a straight come around. I'm not sure. She's going to have to go to the back one and move a little bit if she wants to sit 2. But for now, I think either or would probably be okay for Colleen. This one definitely looks like it's going to be too heavy to be the straight draw, and it needs to curl really bad.
Needs to make contact.
Well, she now has shot rock, but that's all. So Pinkney team just a little bit off this morning. Strange to see. They really are a solid team and a definite threat to win the senior ladies this year. And it's one of those not getting older, getting better, or whatever that saying is. Now that's them because they've just been a really strong team since they hit the senior ranks. More so even than when they used to play at the ladies level, the regular ladies level.
Yeah, and their biggest thing I've found just in play and watching them and playing against them has been consistency.
Yeah.
And that's what they don't have today. So they've been so consistent. They don't play the upweight hits that often. They play soft weight, draw game like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And they don't miss a lot of them. And here they are. They're just a little heavy on one, light on another. And
yeah.
So.
Yeah, and in fairness on a shot like that, the one that Wendy did throw down there, I would have actually thought just over the hog line. I thought that was fine. I figured that would definitely curl enough to get to that back rock. It just didn't do. Just didn't happen. Christie Gamble asking herself to remove this stone, and this looks pretty good. I really think Christie's had a good week. I mentioned it earlier, but I think she's thrown the rock good this week, and a little unfortunate at times, and obviously a miss here or there that you can't miss, but great shot. She's just throwing it good. Nice roll, perfect spot. And I think you're going to see Colleen just ignore that and go right around. And she will. One thing about Colleen, she won't get phased by the fact that she missed a draw the last end. Sometimes I know when I play, if I'm missing a draw the last end, I don't know how badly I want to throw a draw on the next end because it's just I don't feel real good about it. So you end up playing not quite as aggressively as you need to. But that won't happen with Colleen. She'll play the shots that she has to play to get back in the game, and if she makes them, great. And if she doesn't make them, well, that's just the way it goes. So this is an intern come around. Colleen Pinkney.
So she doesn't have to get this totally buried, and that's probably good because that's extremely difficult to bury around a stone top 8 foot.
Yeah, exactly.
But even a little corner peeking out's okay. Need to make sure it's in the rings. Looks a bit heavy. Sweepers have backed off.
Yeah, I haven't timed anything, but it must be pretty darn quick. She really didn't come out of the hack with a whole lot of oomph on that. Nice shot.
Sits for shot stone, and she did get that completely buried on its own. Did not need the sweeper's help to finish that. So nice curl there. That's what we were expecting Wendy's to do, and it just didn't.
Just that little slight difference in the weight just made the difference in how the rock went down there. So if you get the weight right, this ice will let you make every shot. So Christie can take away the 2 here by just making the same shot that Colleen just made. Not an easy one, though. Throw it a little tiny bit too hard, and we'll find. We just saw what happens if you just ramp it up a little bit for weight. You might just sail right by everything. Short's probably the good miss here, but not super short. But if you ever stop top of the 8 foot just beside your own stone there, it's going to be a difficult chore for Colleen Pinkney to find a way to get her to. But I wouldn't be surprised to see her make this one perfect. She made one the first end, which is pretty much identical. Girls want to sweep a little bit, but they got to come off that outside guard. And there it goes. Wow, great shot.
Took a very different line from Colleen's, and that's because they made use of the sweepers. So ends up being the shot that Colleen probably would have wanted to throw there.
Yeah, it's always nice when you have a couple of young front end sweepers that can really work a rock hard, and the girls certainly took that one. Once they were allowed to sweep, they went pretty hard.
It's a tough little tap here for Colleen. Looking for her too, for sure. The problem is the stagger of the yellow on the blue. She's going to try and tap that yellow back into the back 8, back 12 area, but she's got to get it past her blue stone that she threw and stick the shooter. So she's got to hit a fairly sizable chunk of it to keep the shooter, but not so much that she jams it on the back blue one. Looking to probably hit enough to score the one with her shooter for sure, I think.
Yeah, I think the challenge here is just matching up, and as it always is in curling, just matching up the ice with the weight, because it's just, again, you throw it just a little bit too hard and it doesn't curl. Shelley indicating it might be up a little bit, but looking pretty good from here. I think the line's good. Girls are going on it now. I think they got to go real hard. See if she can miss that back one. And she won't, but she will score. So good shot for Colleen Pinkney. She picks up one here in the third end. Definitely wanted two, no question about that. But, you want to get on the board. Sometimes you just got to stop the bleeding a little bit, get on the board, and see what you can do without hammers. So Colleen picks up one. Colleen Pinkney picks up one here in the fourth end and trails Christie Gamble 3-1 after 3 ends of play.
I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on Bell TV1 and our crew at 45 North doing the broadcast for us. We're here live at the Nova Scotia 2016 Scotties Tournament of Hearts. And if you're just tuning in, we've got Team Pinkney taking on Team Gamble. You may notice that the sheet we're playing on, the rings don't say Scotties and other Kruger products. We're hosting a combined event for the men's and women's championships this year for the first time in the province's history. So we're combined with the East Coast Credit Union men's tankard. And we've been drawing some nice crowds out, especially in the evenings. And I know we've got a lot of people viewing online, and obviously you're watching now. So something's working. We're on Twitter using the hashtag NSCurl. If you'd like to chime in with who you're cheering for and ask any questions.
Yeah, the combined event, I think, is, we're not done yet. We will go back and assess it all after it's over and try to decide if this is the way for the future for the Nova Scotia Provincial Curling Championships. But I certainly think that after 2.5 days or whatever we're in, it deserves another look. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that we continue with this format for several years. I think it's been well received by the players, well received by the fans. It's a long week, no question about it. With both competitions going on, these players have to start on Monday with practice and they go right till Sunday. But by the end of the week, they'll be in great shape, and this is what they play for all year, and they work really hard to get here, and so they don't mind taking the time off to do it. And I think it's been a great success so far.
A bit heavy there from Mary Mattatall in her first stone in this third end. So this will give Team Pinkney and lead Susan Creelman a chance to put a good one around that center guard and try and put some pressure on for the first time in this game, really.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of heat. There's been a little bit on Christie. She's had to make a couple of good shots with her last ones to make sure she doesn't drop a two-ender. And once resulting in a steal and once resulting in a force in the third end. So kudos to her, but there really hasn't been a whole lot of heat on them otherwise, because they've been playing well and the Pinkney team has been that much off, and they'll want to make it a little tougher for the Gamble rink to score here. It's a big end. If Christie can ever pick up a two here, she's going to have a pretty substantial lead after 4 ends, which you've got to like if you're out there. Christie's playing she indicated that you might have seen her, you might not have, I'm not sure, but she tapped her foot. That usually means about hack weight, I think, and she's going to ask Mary to throw hack weight here, remove this stone, maybe get a little bit of a flop behind the guard, but not totally necessary when you have hammer. I think I might just assume roll the other way. She hits her right on the nose. So Colleen Pinkney will try to do the same thing and make that inside roll. Just updating you a little bit on what's going on across the board on sheet 2. Team Arsenal picked up 1 in the third end and tied the game up 3-3 after 3 against Jill Brothers. Colleen Jones came back with a deuce of her own in the third end on sheet 3. Now trails 4-2 after 3 against Teresa Breen. And Emily Dwyer picked up 1 in the third end, and we have a 1-1 tie on sheet 5. Emily Dwyer and Julie McAvoy. Don't know exactly what's going on here. There's somebody looking for a gripper, maybe. Probably still most. Used to be almost all, but quite often the curlers wear a gripper, a rubber gripper that goes over their slider when they're going to sweep. And I think that might be what Sue's looking for down there. She's somebody that does wear the gripper. The other shoe, if you're not familiar, one shoe usually has a slider on there that can be anything from, quarter-inch Teflon to steel, to thinner Teflon if you don't like to have a faster slider. So that one shoe has that sort of material to be able to slide really fast and go on. And the other shoe has a rubber gripper. And when they sweep, you'll see Sue coming down here, and she's not, obviously, when she's pushing her feet, she's not sliding as such. So she's found her gripper, and she wears that to help her with balance and control when she's trying to sweep. So Shelley MacNutt starting to find a groove a little bit. There's a great shot there. Just got a tiny little bit of inside roll. Not much, but a little bit.
Yeah, it didn't look like there was much way to get in, kind of roll off that.
No, you're right. Christie playing the peel. I don't know, just maybe a little surprised. She's been playing well. They've been throwing the rock pretty good, so I might think about being a little more aggressive than that with this end. I'm not sure. Switching turns as well. She's going to ask Kaitlyn to throw that in turn, the left-hander in turn, which she's been throwing great all day. My team, we go the other turn because we want to know if we missed that first one, want to hit the back one.
Yeah, absolutely. I was surprised to see that as well. And
perfect shot, though.
gets the corner guard out of it, which is not so bad either.
Nothing wrong with that at all. That's a great shot. She's having a great day so far. So Colleen will ask Shelley to throw guard. Something probably fairly tight. Right, just short of the Deloitte would be good. Sometimes those logos in the ice are great. You get to use them to tell people where to throw the rock. And see that sometimes on TV when they'll say, hey, just throw it on the end on this word or whatever it is. It's marvelous. Great to have Deloitte on board for this provincial championship as one of the host committee sponsors and silver level sponsor, I think they are, and we certainly appreciate their support, and through that support we're able to make the rink look like it does and make the ice act the way it does. So thanks very much to Deloitte and all of our sponsors. Not quite a great guard, just kind of a little bit, didn't quite get to where it needed to go. Gonna play the same shot, other turn for Kaitlyn this time, and again, I'm still thinking that I might like to play the one in the house roll behind the corner, but this, 3-1 lead, sometimes you play the scoreboard a little bit and might not be a bad thing. Looks like another good shot. See what they're gonna do with this, and probably gonna roll for second corner, which will never get used anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But good shot. Did the job, did what she was asked to do, and that's all you can do.
Yeah, I think for Team Gamble here, they're up 2 with Hammer. Been playing with a decent number of rocks in play in the past couple ends, and maybe the key here that Christie's thinking is just to keep things simple, and you've got that corner guard that if Team Pinkney ever misses, you can make a nice shot and start to make use of that guard. So pretty low risk here if she continues, and she's got a good draw to the 4-foot available on her last if things stay as they are for now too.
And she certainly has draw weight, no question about that.
Throw to third stones here. Wendy Currie just putting up another center guard. One over curling.
Having a hard time getting that guard perfect, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're just kind of, it's just been a little bit off every time. This time it's fair enough off that Christie is going to play the one in the house. Good news for Colleen Pinkney, there's no corner guard to roll behind. That's why the other shot, and I hear what you're saying with the defense and the simplicity of the end and all that, but the last shot, if you played the one in the house, you actually have a chance to roll behind your corner. This one, you don't have a chance. You're going to roll basically the open side, which isn't so bad. Again, 3-1 lead, Hammer. Nothing wrong with that, but...
Yeah, you roll open side, but you force Colleen to have to deal with it. She can't really afford to give up a steal.
Yeah, you're right.
Sorry, a 2 here. So even if that had rolled over, I think you'd see Colleen make a play on it and not go around the one on the center.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. You're right. She can't. It's too early in the game to throw caution to the wind and just say, well, we're going no matter what. It doesn't make any sense. So Colleen will try to do it. They just Brigitte just flopped maybe an inch to the right, so there might be an opportunity here to make a bit of an inside roll. But pretty risky. You got to come by that guard awfully tight.
They're on that early, and then it's straightened up a little bit. They're going to get a roll to the wings now.
It's kind of, they just chuckle a little bit there. The girls are thinking a little bit about trying the directional sweeping thing, and just had Shelley just kind of dusted it at the end, but they're not very committed yet. It's kind of like Colleen saying, yeah, and Shelley's, well, I don't think so. It's got to curl. So
they had that happen in the fourth end or the third end as well. I was watching just a little half-hearted sweep at the end, and that's not going to do any of it.
No, it's one of those things. If you're going to commit, because it's as hard as it is to believe sometimes. It certainly seems to be working, and
we're getting certainly more used to seeing it. It doesn't look as odd as it.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah, you're right.
When we first saw
remember
it
that?
out.
Yeah, the first time it was out, it was just like, oh my God, it looks so ridiculous. Doesn't look so ridiculous now. I still don't like it, but it doesn't look quite so strange.
Problem for you is it doesn't matter if you don't like it because it works.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're 100%. It's a little bit like when you hear a song on the radio for the first time, you think you don't like it, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks later you're kind of singing along with it. Just takes a little while to adapt, I think.
That's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah. I have my moments. They're just not real frequent. So Colleen really needs to sink one here. She really does. She needs to make something happen. They just haven't made really anything happen so far in this game, and if for no other, even if Christie goes ahead and makes the draw to the button or something to score her one, just need to make some good shots, and just haven't really done too much of that yet.
Yeah, and here's her chance too. The first real miss from Team Gamble, just rolling out there by Brigitte on that hit. So she's got this draw all day, and hopefully by now she's adjusted her weight. We saw a nice one in the last end.
It's going to be pretty good, I think. Maybe again, maybe a little deep again. Which isn't good because Christie Gamble's shown she can put it right on the pin every time, but it's not bad, but it's about, well, it's probably about 3 feet heavy, but it's definitely 1 foot heavy. If it just stops 1 foot shorter than that, then it's pretty near impossible for the Gamble rink to get shot rock.
Yeah, top 4 there would have been perfect, just given the button to draw to, which is a fairly small target, although it's a good sized button here, but it doesn't make the pin any bigger or any easier to get to.
Yeah, it's interesting. In the men's 2 sheets, they have much bigger buttons than the women's 2 sheets. I don't know what that says.
It makes them just look a little more impressive.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Well, you can cram 4 stones there instead of 2.
Us guys like to have our ego stroked every now and then, so I like to draw the button. I don't care where it is. It's like I was talking yesterday. It was interesting. I was talking with Christina Black's little cousin, Emma. She's like 7 years old, and talking a little bit about playing in the Light Rocks last year, and she won a medal, and she was some happy about that medal, and she was going back to try to win another medal this year, going to Yarmouth, and it was great. But it was interesting because then when we talk a little longer, they didn't win any games to win a medal, but that didn't matter.
No.
You know, it's like in that age, it's so. I remember working with Light Rocks when my daughter was curling, and you know, medals are big. Well, this is not a great one by Christie. Just got a little too aggressive in trying to make this one and overthrew it. I think you'll see Colleen come right back in there. You know, I don't think you'll see her throw the guard. I think she'll go right in there again.
For sure. You can lock one right on top of that and have a good chance at a steal.
So maybe the first shot that Christie's missed in the game. I'm trying to think if she missed any other ones. I can't imagine that she did. So, you know, we'll got to forgive her for one. Not everybody's going to make everyone. It wasn't horrible. It was about, 6 feet too heavy or so. As a result, it didn't curl as much either. But see what Colleen can do. She has a real good chance here to put some serious pressure on the Gamble rink. If she can put this one in, as you say, top 4 foot, top button, and in the right spot. Going to be tough to not give up a steal here for the Gamble team.
Super seemed to not mind the weight.
Oh, it looks a little heavy.
Too much, but the line looks like it's a little heavy. Here they go now. That's a little better effort on the directional sweeping there.
Yes.
Shelley.
Good shot. Real good shot. You know, Christie looking at it, wondering if there's any chance she can make the hit. I'm not so sure she can. Not
no,
sure.
so there's above the ELO in Deloitte, there's a blue guard that, you know, the one Colleen just threw is peeking out a little bit, but can't see enough to ever make a double. So just a cold draw to the button.
Yeah, I expect her to be close on this. We've seen a lot of good draws this week. The ice has just been really nice and really easy for the sweepers to control. So Christie Gamble going down to throw the intern draw right to the pinhole here and try to get her 1 point. Big shot for her. If she makes this shot, she's going to go up 4-1 and continue to control the game. If she were to miss this one, she could give up a 1 or a 2, and all of a sudden it's a brand new game.
So last stone, fourth end, Christie Gamble, drawing against 2. See if she can make the adjustment from her first stone, which came to the back 12 foot.
Well, this looks really close to being heavy to me too, but like I say, everything looks heavy to me up here, so. Well, not quite. She gave up 1, but a heck of a shot. She was really close. Really close. Nice shot by Christie. Shouldn't be too disappointed with that, and probably can live with the 1. So, Colleen Pinkney steals 1 here in the fourth end, and now trails Christie Gamble's team 3-2 after 4 ends. Pretty good effort. And nice to see the Pinkney team finally kind of making a few shots as well and getting back in the game here. So, haven't got any updates to give you here since the last time we gave them to you. So, everybody's playing a little bit slow, actually, in terms of the time. I have Tanya Hilliard of Team Breen right now throwing her last shot on sheet 3 and picks up 2, so I guess we can update you a little bit. So Teresa Breen jumps out to a 6-2 lead after 4 ends over Colleen Jones.
You can always pick up the scores at nscurl.com as well if we're not doing a good enough job on the updates. Had some excitement out there on the ice. I think Jill Brothers just threw a big weight shot, maybe to give up a steal of 1 to
I think she did give up
Arsenault.
1, yeah. I think Marianne stole 1 there. I'm thinking Jill must have been playing maybe some kind of a double or something on that because it was seemed like a lot of rocks moving around. But at the end of it, Marianne Arsenault steals 1 and jumps out to a 4-3 lead. Wow, somebody turned the lights on here. That's great. Now we'll have a little better idea what's going on.
I think we need coffee for that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me.
Yeah. Well, I did have coffee earlier. It was about 6:15 or something when I woke up in the hotel and figured I better get out of the room because I didn't want to wake up anybody else. And went down, had some coffee at the Comfort Inn on the Bedford Highway. Great hotel. So we've got the 5th end started. We've got 1 center guard by the Pinkney team and 1 attempt at a corner guard, I would say that must have been on Gamble's team, but it's not guarding a whole heck of a lot over there, so I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it picked or Mary just got her going or whatever happened, but Mary throws it pretty good, so my guess is it just kind of maybe grabbed a little something and curled too far. But we were watching everything else, so I didn't even see it. Might have been completely different than that. So Sue Creelman be asked to throw the come around. On the intern side, this one's curling pretty hard early.
Second center guard's not so bad either here.
Oh, absolutely. It's that's probably your alternate call, if you will. And
that one's a little stuck in the middle though, over curled and wasn't too light, so taps the guard, leaves the staggered center guard, and Christie will go right around that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It wasn't, it was a touch light, but it wasn't terribly light, and never really had a chance of getting by that guard. So might need a little adjustment on the ice read there. I'm not sure. Final update before we get going with this end again on sheet 5. Julie McAvoy picked up 2 to lead Emily Dwyer 3-1 after 4 ends of play. Emily was in huge trouble over there. I think she probably did a pretty good job of just only giving up 2. When I last looked over, Julie was sitting 4, so good job by Em to get out of there without selling the farm and staying in the game. Mary Mattatall in the intern draw around these guards. Good shot by Mary. Again, probably, you don't want to be real finicky, but probably a foot and a half, maybe 2 feet too heavy.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, where the area where you want your lead stones, the setup shots to be when they're called in the rings, is to be in the top 4 foot, the high top 4 foot to top 8 foot. So then if someone comes in, maybe something gets tapped around, that rock is still going to be in front of the tee line, and it really protects the button area towards the end of the end. So you want your stones to be there in that area.
Oh, exactly.
That's changed from strategy in past, where we didn't have as many of these finesse shots with the ability to come around tight guards or even rocks in the rings and tap around. And that's the reason for that. So now there's room because of that stone coming a little tiny bit deep. Not much, just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
For Shelley MacNutt to try and freeze one on there. She comes up a tiny bit light, but it's still in a good position there. So
well, you're right. That's a great miss. That's where you want to miss it if you're going to miss it. But you're right, dead right on the point. If Shelley does put that right on top of the yellow one, there's almost no way that Christie's ever going to score 2 without chasing the whole end. So and just one miss away from giving up a steal. So that's why that rock's just like you say, just that little bit too deep. Move it up 2 or 3 feet, and all of a sudden it's a much better position. So Kaitlyn Veitch going to be asked to do some cleaning up a little bit here, and
a little unlucky there.
A little unlucky, but not a bad shot.
Got rid of that stone we didn't seem to like too much.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it was their own, but I don't think at that point it was helping them very much.
No.
So was a wide out turn. Or from Shelley MacNutt.
Yeah, back to that last shot for a second. I'm not quite sure if she was trying to play the double on the 2 that she actually hit, or if she wanted to get the other one. But they were sweeping it, so they must have been playing what they swept for, I assume. This looks pretty good, unless it's a little bit heavy.
Heavy
yeah,
it is.
It is. Yep.
It's funny, we're talking about the perfect place for the front end stones to be, Jim, and the way that teams earn last rock advantage in this game is by a draw to the button in practice, and it's always, everything goes back to draw to the button, draw to the button, draw to the button, but the only person that really matters for is the skip when they're throwing their last rock.
Yeah.
Everyone else is trying to shoot 2 to 3 feet in front of that spot.
Yeah.
I just find that kind of funny. Maybe that's why the skips are so good at throwing draw to the button, and they tend to do it because that's what they have to do in a game, unlike the rest of their team.
Yeah. Oh, Kaitlyn really close to making that, just ticking the guard. That was you could see in the slide there. Kaitlyn just slid a little bit wide, brought it back across her body, so it curled a little more than maybe what she was thinking, and maybe a little more what Christie was sweeping, or thinking rather, but pretty close. She's only about 1/8 of an inch from making that one perfect. So her perfect day is probably gone. She can't probably make up those couple of points, but she's had a good one so far. Another chance for the Pinkney team to put some real pressure actually on Christie Gamble now, because it's for one of the few ends we've seen so far, really, that the Pinkney team is in a really good position here. If they can make this shot, it's an if right now. They got to get some curl.
I like this call a lot.
Me too, yeah.
They've got to get the curl. Still looks a tiny bit heavy there. A lot of people would go for the intern tap on the other side, but that blue stone at the top of the rings is in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
I'll just grind it to a halt.
No, I think that's definitely the right call. Yeah, you throw it about maybe 4 or 5 feet lighter, just so that the sweepers can work it a little bit and get a little bit more curl. You just got to be so precise on the weight, and you look at that. Well, that's a pretty darn good shot, but move it up a couple more feet and move it in 3 or 4 more inches. It's an awesome shot. So, but this is accessible. Certainly, Brigitte can make the double here, and if she doesn't make the double, at least hit that and leave her own rock in play around the center of the sheet would be a good spot.
pretty tight to the guard, but this one looks like it's over curled out of her hand. It's on the front yellow.
It's a tough one.
So they're not getting too much out of those. Didn't manage to shoot anything on the other side into the rings, although I don't know that those would come into play at this point with 3 blue stones.
Yeah, 2 rocks that just weren't thrown 100% compared to the way they were throwing them earlier. Just, Bridget's a little harder to see from right behind, but certainly, as you say, it looked like tight out of her hand, so she probably just gave it a little motion in, and Kaitlyn just had a little bit of that, that little bit of a wide slide directed back and picked up more curl. So it's a tough sport at this level. You got to do with everything perfect, and if you don't throw it perfect, you don't get good results, and that's the way it really should be. So Wendy Currie's going to play the exact same shot, see if she can find a weight of about a few feet lighter. Looks like she found the lighter parts, just a few feet might not be quite right. Well, now this one's wide open, and unlike the last shot, I wouldn't have minded the little bump on that shot. But I didn't mind the shot they played either, but the bump was certainly more accessible and a better.
Once the other guard was gone, you could afford to come in and make a play on that, and your shooter would end up guarding the situation a little bit as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get it a piece tucked and make it really difficult for Team Gamble to get anything going.
Bridget a little bit tight again, I think, but they might be able to hold this one. A little unfortunate there. I like the way she throws a stone. She's nice and straight out of the hack. I like that. But I think you gotta be careful you don't steer it around a little bit on release. So good spot though. Great spot for Christie to be able to use it.
Yeah, and we're seeing a really aggressive call here from Colleen Pinkney coming right in the rings.
Yeah, not a surprise though. After she made the 2 nice draws the last end, Colleen is
for sure.
She loves offense.
That yellow stone is in a good spot. It will still be a run back for Christie, so increases the degree of difficulty a little bit. So Colleen can just get this tucked around and get something in the way of that run back. She'll be happy. The idea is still a force here too for Colleen. I mean, she's got a couple stones in the ring, sitting 1-2, but not needing a steal and not looking great for a steal. No center guard, and that yellow is in such a good spot.
Yeah, the good news for Christie is she's got that one at the top of the house. The bad news is she's only got 2 shots left in the end, and she's going to be looking at 3 probably in a minute, and you'd rather not have to be playing tap backs to the 4-foot. I don't know if this one's getting by, is it? She looks a little like it's going to be on the yellow one. That wouldn't be bad if they stopped sweeping it. Not terrible for Colleen Pinkney, and maybe not terrible for Christie if she can make a good shot, but I don't know for sure what she's going to play.
I think it's the angle if Christie's going to play a run back, I think the angle she'd need certainly to get the one in the back 4 is not available. There's a tiny bit of overlap between the one Colleen just threw, which is why you mentioned they might want to stop sweeping and let it curl, slow down and curl to the end there. Although with the directional sweeping, of course, you want to keep sweeping. So and the straight back to the back doesn't really get her anything because the raised one won't be shot. So going to use the stone Colleen just threw as a guard and come all around everything.
She is. And she'll be close. She's only had 1 draw all day that I would consider that she missed. I mean, her last shot at the last end, I mean, she did give up a point, but in my book, that was a pretty darn good shot. I consider that a made draw. So the front end working on this one. This one looks a little light as well, I think. Wow, great sweeping again. And a terrific shot. Holy cow, Christie Gamble's got that draw weight in her back pocket. That was a great shot.
Am I allowed to say that's a peach if it was for Christie?
Yeah.
So that was a peach.
That's a peach. I don't know about this shot. Colleen's going to play not even sure. Does that go by there?
She may have to hit it touch on the center line side to get that to go back. Jim, I thought there was an overlap, but we're not right down there, so.
Yeah. Wouldn't you be a little bit tempted just to kind of
Freeze?
take the draw, yeah, play the
Yep.
freeze or guard or whatever you want to call it on that side and say, okay, Christie, you figure out how to get another point, because I don't think you can.
I would be completely tempted to do that.
Because I think this shot is like, if you don't make this, and I'm not, maybe it must be there. Colleen's not going to play it if it's not there. Anyway, it's not
Sweeping
there.
out of her hand and tight.
Yeah, this is, this might make it another way. That wouldn't be really fair, but, wow. Well, that was kind of odd for me. I don't like that. I'll ask Colleen after the game what she was playing there, number one, and why,
the
number
ice
two.
she called was so tight. She had ice center of the rock, and they don't throw the weight big enough that you can call that ice and have it go so straight. So you see there, she did over curl by an entire rock. So
yeah. So
yeah,
Christie's got a pretty simple draw considering she just made it. I mean, it's not a draw to the forefoot, but she just threw it and expect her to make this one and get her two. But you got to make it. You don't want to miss this after making such a good one on the first one and putting yourself in a great position to score two. You don't want to miss this one. Taking a little more ice, which is good, because I think the first time she was a little bit wide and had to be. Kaitlyn indicating no, hand up, saying it's got enough weight, we can't sweep it.
yeah, and the line's a bit wider than the last one,
yeah,
too.
Brigitte now doing the same thing. Neither one of those is a good sign. And I think this one's heavy. Wow, quite heavy. You know what? A big miss, really, for Christie on that shot. She won't be too happy with that, especially after making that first one. But she does score, so she does get one. Christie Gamble gets 1 point in the fifth end. Now leads Colleen Pinkney 4-2 after 5 as we go to the break. Just before we go to the break, we'll update you on a couple of sheets. On sheet 2, blank end. So Marianne Arsenault continues to lead Jill Brothers 4-3 after 4 ends, or after 5 ends rather. Sheet 5, Julie McAvoy actually stole not another point, but she did steal a point against Emily Dwyer and leads 4-1 after 5. And on sheet 3, Colleen Jones and Teresa Breen are not done yet, so Colleen's in great position to at least score, and will maybe end up scoring too, but we'll bring you up to date on that one when we come back in just a couple of minutes.
Excuse the interruption, just one more change. Notice that the women curlers
setting. There's enough people here. Welcome back, everybody, to the 2016 Scotties Tournament of Hearts in Nova Scotia. We are on sheet 4, featuring Team Colleen Pinkney, and they are taking on Team Christie Gamble. Colleen Pinkney from the Truro Curling Club, and Christie and team playing out of the Mayflower. So they're on home ice, but you can't really call it home ice here because we brought in Great Ontario Ice Crew under the direction of John Wall. And great playing surface, lots of curl. It's what the players are looking for. And so we're starting off the 6th end. Team Gamble leads Team Pinkney by a score of 4-2. Team Pinkney will have hammer here in the 6th end. My name is Selena Thompson, and I'll be joined in a couple minutes by Jim Nix. We're happy to have you joining us at this early morning draw, although not quite as early as yesterday's. We had 8 a.m. start on Wednesday today. This game started at 9, and we'll have an 8 a.m. start again tomorrow on Friday. Friday we'll have 4 draws for you at 8 a.m., noon, 4 p.m., and 8 p.m. And that'll finish off the round robin for both of the events. We're hosting the East Coast Credit Union Tankard and this Nova Scotia Scotties here at the Mayflower, and we'll wait and see based on these round robin results who will make it to playoff weekend. Top 3 teams move on with the team with the best record going to the final, and the others playing off in Saturday's semifinal. Team Gamble throwing the Yellow Rocks had a chance for 2 in the last end, and Christie had made a very nice draw in her first and was just not just a bit heavy, six or so feet heavy on her second one, so missed the chance for the 2, but still leads by 2 points. So Colleen Pinkney with a corner guard up, looking to come around and get some rocks in play this end, maybe score a couple and tie it up. Tough result, it looks like, for Shelley MacNutt there. I don't know if that blue stone's in the rings. We've got a little bit of a different perspective from the camera. Of course, it's not above the edge of the rings, it's above the button, so looks like it's out. Team Gamble doesn't seem too concerned about it. Maybe, and if they hit it, I suspect it maybe, and it's a splittable rock for sure. Kaitlyn Veitch throwing second stones for Team Gamble for a hit here. This one's curling. Super's able to hold it. They'll look for a little bit of a roll to the center, maybe nudge their own. Good shot from Kaitlyn. I don't know that it blocks the draw path. I think that path's still available for Team Pinkney. That thrown Yellowstone not in. I don't mind the come around the corner guard. The team just wondering if they should make a play on the shot stone. There's a little bit of grouping of the Yellowstones up front. I actually kind of like a little bit of a play on the yellow that's on the forefoot. If you can ever get a flop to the inside, you're behind some staggered Yellowstones, which wouldn't be a bad result. This was a touch wide from Shelley. Probably going to be bumping that last thrown Yellowstone into the rings. She was a bit light on her last one, so the weight was good on this one, but the line was not there. Leaves it in the front of the house position. The problem now becomes that it's guarding some Yellowstones, and Team Gamble has that one that's on the side button, so a bit of work to do for Team Pinkney. They don't tend to be a team that clears out the front of the house. There was a, if you didn't think this end was looking nice for you on the last shot, Colleen could have called a hit on those front ones as well, but that's not her style to do. Lots of rocks in play, and she'll end up, I think in this case, she's going to be drawing against a bunch in the end here. So Brigitte MacPhail, third for Team Gamble. Just asked to put up a guard, slides into the rings. The reason you'd like it up a little higher is that if Team Pinkney ever hit that one, their shooter wouldn't end up in the rings. But here, we've got Wendy Currie able to make a hit, and if she can make the roll, it'll be protected. Line's a bit wide right out of her hand. Maybe looking for the double here, but she's going to hit this pretty thick and get the jam, unfortunately. It's not the way they wanted to hit that stone, leaving their blue wide open. It's not shot and it's not second shot, but no question for Christie. She's got two in scoring position. She can make a hit here and make Team Pinkney look at 4 Yellowstones for the rest of the end. They'll be happy. This one a bit wide as well. That's not a good jam to have there for Brigitte. Just threw that a bit touch wide. I've seen her roll out a couple times this game on that side of the sheet, so that's her in turn, and just setting them a little bit wide, and they have no chance to come back with the the normal hit weight that these teams are throwing. So with that, that was a pretty big gift there from Brigitte here. So Colleen's asking Wendy Currie to come in, tap her own, maybe get a little bit of a flop to the inside. But in any case, sit 2 after this shot when they were looking at potentially 4 Yellowstones after the previous one. So we just had a big change there as Jim joins me back here. Team Gamble was just looking for a simple hit and hit and stay, or maybe hit and roll in, and Brigitte MacPhail threw a bit wide and actually jammed the blue stone, the blue Pinkney stone, on their own shot stone on the button. So
well, it certainly sounds, yeah. I had a little bit of a turnaround myself. I had to stop over and grab a Tim Hortons coffee here to to get me up and ready for the second half of the game. It's an early morning today, so thanks to the guys from Tim Hortons for having that available. Big shot here for Christie, obviously. Then she's still in a position to put Colleen in a bunch of trouble here. But this double is definitely makeable. A little on the outside, I think. It's got to curl up. It's going to get there. I don't think quite.
It tried its best.
It sure did. She threw quite a bit of weight. She's obviously got that shot in her bag too, which most curlers do now, especially anybody under 40 years old. So Colleen's going to, well, she pretty much has to ignore that, get a second rock in somewhere. Oh, that's pretty tough. I think you could just play the straight come around and you'd be fine. If you're a little heavy, you make that shot. Playing that shot's a little bit tough.
She's trying to get separation, and I think that's what she was trying to do on Wendy's last shot as well. The problem is Wendy didn't throw, they didn't get the line or quite the weight to do that. So if it had curled a bit more, they would have gotten separation, and if it had been a bit heavier, they would have gotten some separation. But they ended up grouping them and leaving in double. So my concern on this shot would be that they may leave the same kind of result after all is said and done. You don't really want to group the stones, and when you're making contact, well, you're certainly putting the stones close together.
Yeah, that's right. It's back to that old movie, the several degrees of separation, so just needed a little bigger degree on that one.
But not a bad chance for Team Pinkney to get their 2 points that they would be looking for this end, the sixth end, tying it up after 6. And presumably having hammer in the even ends would be a good victory for them here.
Yeah, especially after being down 3-0 early, for sure. And you know, the nice thing about this shot, as long as you don't, like you say, as long as you don't group them too bad, Christie's going to hit the easiest one. She's going to give you your 2. She can't afford to sort of play anything silly and give up a 3-hander for sure. So I think as long as you get this one going the right way, that probably does it. I think I would have liked to hit it a little bit harder if I had my choice, but I think that's probably good enough. She probably can't play the double. It's a little too thin to play the double. Don't think she's ever going to roll.
Extremely thin double. You would never play that unless you absolutely had to. She got the shooter. Colleen did, just tucked enough under that yellow stone at the top 12 that there's nothing available there. So Christie will look to make a tough little hit and roll in, and she's probably going to leave Colleen a tap. Even if she makes this perfectly, a tap for 2 anyway.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think there's going to be any roll in here. I don't think you can ever play it close enough to that blue one to make the roll in. I think you're just going to end up hitting it on the nose. Could play it a little tight as long as you just rub that one and maybe even have a chance of getting them both. But
if you get half a stone under the, you don't have to roll all the way under, but if you can get half a stone under that blue one in the top 4 foot, might be an okay result. I'm looking for a way to force.
Listen,
here.
man, I think it would be a great result. I'm with you. I think it would be a terrific result. I just think it's really hard. It's on its way, though. It must be in the neighborhood. They're sweeping it.
Don't want to just tick the top one and roll off. Looks like the sweepers held it.
Yeah, that's a good shot. Actually, it's a great shot.
I think she got shot rock out of that.
She did.
Be close.
Yeah, you got me. She's I think it's a real good shot. I mean, it's certainly gettable for Colleen, but just rolling that, whatever that was, probably, 3 or 4 inches, made the shot a lot more difficult. I don't even know who shot for sure. I think you're right. I think it looks like yellow. Looks like yellow when we look down here. Might look like blue on the monitor, but
either way, Colleen's going to try and get her 2, so she'll have to hit it in order to ensure that this shooter counts. So this will be soft weight. She won't be throwing the same kind of weight that Christie just threw. And that's why they took a second there to conversation with Wendy Currie to determine what the appropriate line was. So if you throw the right weight for the line that you think will work, you're probably in good shape. But if you don't throw the right weight, well, guess what? That broom isn't going to help you.
no. Colleen seems to have a little better control of what's going on in the last few ends, so I think she'll throw a pretty good shot here and probably get her deuce and tie this thing up. It's on its way. You can tell now as we approach the second half of this game, getting much, much louder out there. You're seeing a lot more hand signals now because people can't hear. Girls are going to have to work a little bit harder on this one to make sure. Ooh. So Pinkney's going to pick up one, but certainly a missed opportunity there. I think that Colleen's a little frustrated. You see her shrugging her shoulders a little bit. Just a little bit of miscommunication on the sweeping there. I'm not sure if...
Yeah, I think that was well thrown, and they just weren't calling the sweep that aggressively. Yeah, exactly.
I think early on, maybe they were a little nervous and hanging there, but once it started to come, and actually at the end of it, they probably had the wrong sweeper sweeping. They did have Shelley sweeping that, and they actually wanted to stay a little straighter. So forgetting even anything to do with directional sweeping, if you're just going to have one, you'd need to have the other one. So Colleen Pinkney only picks up one in the fourth end, now trails 4-3. Still a really good game, can go either way at this point. There's it's not the biggest miss in the world, but tied up just feels a lot better than one down. So at 4-3 for Christie Gamble over Colleen Pinkney, we'll start the seventh end with the Pinkney team throwing the first stone.
Susan Creelman looking for a tight guard. Sweepers kind of lagging back. You don't like to see that. It means that they don't want to be anywhere near that rock to even risk putting a broom to it. So stops just in time on the Deloitte.
It's perfect. A good positioning of the Deloitte signs out here. There's a lot of rocks seem to end up in that area. So we get to read that name a lot. Perfect spot for Sue Creelman, absolutely perfect. Christie's indicating some sort of split type shot here.
She can't remove it, of course. Free guard zone if you're not familiar with it.
Yeah.
With the first four stones, you cannot remove an opponent's stone from play that is within the guard zone in front of the house. You can move your own stones. You can move the other team's stones around as long as you don't remove them from play.
It concerns me here a little bit, and they may be talking about it. We can't hear what goes on out there, obviously, but it's just I didn't really see a lot of conversation about what weight they're going to throw, and this shot's definitely a weight shot. You need to be on the same page, the thrower and the caller and all that kind of stuff. So as a result, not a great result. So I just didn't really like the approach to that shot. I'm not sure what they were playing. I would like to see Christie indicate somewhere back line or hack or whatever the weight was.
Yeah, like if you're playing the tick shot, which is typically a hack-ish weight, then play it that way. But that was definitely a tap weight that Mary Mattatall threw there on her lead stone.
Yeah, it's hard when you look down. The broom's almost at the draw ice too, like another foot of ice, and that's dead draw weight. So you're thinking, well, I got to throw something not too much more than draw weight, or it's never going to get to that rock. And just maybe need a little different approach on the call. And again, having said that, they may well be talking about it out there, and we just don't hear that part. So it might have had nothing to do with it. But either way, she's in a little bit of trouble now because Colleen Pinkney has one in full 8 foot at the top behind two guards, one of her own and one in Christie Gamble's.
Yeah, you can move your own stone. She could ever split this into the rings. It might not be so bad.
I think you're allowed to actually play the run back your blue on the yellow, are you not? Or is that not right?
You can do that as long as you're not removing the blue from play. It's whatever stone gets removed from play. I guess if you miss that, you risk having everything put back. So probably a little safer to play onto the yellow stone in the rings. Mary probably has thrown a little bit more weight here, I would think. Just looking for a little tap. It's going to be pretty close.
Wow.
She got not quite as much of a rub as she would have liked there, and just lines up those guards. So we'll see Colleen going for this shot stone and try and line everything up on the center line.
You know, it's hard. Those are not shots you play a lot, and You know, you're playing them with Mary, who's a great player, but a new player on this team, and you know, maybe that one needs a little work on exactly what you're playing and what weight you're throwing. But either way, great opportunity for the Pinkney team here. They need to hit and roll. Looks like it's going to roll too far if it hits at all.
Yeah, Sweeper's doing a good job of holding that on any part of the rock. That was tight out of her hand.
The Team Pinkney's woes continue a little bit here. They're just not 100% sharp here today, and too bad. It's just happens sometimes. You got to work your way through it and hang in there, and all of a sudden magic happens and it turns around. Sometimes not. So Christie Gamble will start to try to open it up a little bit here.
Yeah, we're on second stones now, so they can play some peels here. Kaitlyn Veitch just looking to lose the blue stone in front if she happens to clip the back yellow.
Bonus.
Probably pretty great as well.
Just got to be careful you don't, yeah. Okay, that's a good shot. Set up a corner if you get a chance to use it. One of these days I'm going to write down all the corner guards and see how many times they actually use them. I was talking about that the other day. It seems like they inevitably never get used. You'd spend a lot of time getting them there, whether you draw there, you hit and roll there, or whatever, and then you never ever get over there. But
in instances where you do see them used, the team ends up scoring quite a few points often.
I know, yeah.
Might be a good idea sometimes to use them. You just get so distracted though by the stones that are right in front of the button, and Skip's always conscious of their last shot that they know they'll have to throw if that stone remains there.
You're right. It's hard to leave other teams' rocks in the house all the time.
And the other reason that it's difficult to leave them there is with every opponent stone that gets lobbed in front, that means you have to make a double or a triple, and teams are getting really good at doing that.
Yeah.
But you're still always aware, and especially in a big competition like this, you don't like to leave all the other opponent's stones hanging around. So yeah, I think you're right. We're tending to see a little bit less use of the corner guards.
So another peel attempt, really a double peel attempt here. You're definitely trying to get two rocks on these shots. It doesn't happen all the time, but you'd like to make it happen. So Kaitlyn will be asked a double peel.
An over curl on this side again.
You know what? It's just going to, because it's just a little tiny bit of a technical issue with delivery for Kaitlyn on that particular shot. She just, when you watch her slide, you watch her finish her slide, she always ends up wide of the broom on the slide a little bit, and then she has to bring it back a little bit, and if you have ice that curls, it's going to curl more. So it's just a,
yeah, she's getting started.
Yeah, and sometime, you know what, over the off season, they'll probably talk a little bit about that maybe next fall when they, or maybe this spring, who knows. She gets a chance to get out, work with a little bit of videotaping, and so she can see it, because sometimes you just don't see it, and then that. There's not any issue with that at all. Just right now, you just got to deal with it, and Christie's they play together all year, so Christie's seen that shot, and it's not really that big an adjustment. And on the lighter weight shots, I don't think she does as much. I think it's just ramp up the weight a little bit. So anyways, we're in the same position we've been basically the whole end here, where Christie Gamble's going to try to peel rocks off, and this time probably just playing the single peel. They're a long way apart, these two, so he's going to and it sounds like Brigitte considering whether or not to play the double peel once again. You could. There's no reason why you couldn't. But she's chosen just to play the single. And there's nothing wrong with that either, particularly because it's your stone in behind, and you'd like to be able to use that somewhere along the way.
Yeah, Abe been indicating that she can see a fair amount of that Yellowstone in behind, but I like what Christie's thinking, that, well, it's lined up pretty nice if you can just access it. So
yeah, maybe
give another chance for a guard, and maybe it won't be the best guard.
Yeah.
And Colleen's well aware of that.
Colleen wants to go, doesn't she? She's like, well, I just really like to get one closer to the button. And she's going to go. I didn't think she would. I still, I don't think there's anything wrong with another guard here. I think Christie's going to chase those guards for a while yet. And
yeah, we're on to third stones, though. This is Wendy's second stone.
Yeah.
Of the seven. So putting it in there, I mean, I like it. It's consistent with Colleen's play, is to have rocks in the rings and tucked around, but that's not a long run back for Brigitte, although I've seen her a couple couple attempts, maybe just over curl a little bit, so
Yeah.
that Colleen could be thinking that as well.
Yeah, it might be the best shot. I would throw another guard. I think she's going to run the guards off, and I don't really care if she wants to try to run it back in, and I don't really care if she ignores it. I don't think she'll ignore it at all. So it's I just think this is really tough to be sure you're going to have rocks left around. If Brigitte makes any kind of run back, you might be in some trouble. Certainly not going to be able to steal. But we'll see. But she does have to make it, and that's not always as easy as it seems.
Maybe it's one of those ones where if the strategy works and you get a miss out of the other team, it's a great call, because then we'll have blue guard going out front. But if this is made, then to your point, why would she do that?
Oh, you're right. It's a great game for second guessing, no question about it.
And Wendy made that shot just about as good as she could. It's really, really hard. I mean, you're bearing against around a rock top 8 foot, so
Yep.
this one's close. Clips the top one.
Yep.
So
Pretty good shot.
Now Team Pinkney shot stone, but it's behind the tee line.
Yep.
Put another one top of the rings. It'll have a dual function. It'll be a second stone in, so that's, looking for the force there.
Yeah.
And then also acts as a guard for the stone that's back 4, back 8. Mistake on this would be to go too deep and leave an easy double for an out, or even a hit and roll behind those corner guards we were talking about earlier that no one's seemed to be able to use.
Yeah, I just think that if you back up a couple shots and you throw the guard out there, you're playing now probably with still coming around a guard somewhere, and I just like that better. This is really hard to put it in a perfect spot. I think a perfect spot is probably biting the 12-foot, but just biting the 12-foot. Full 12-foot, she makes a hit and roll behind a guard. All of a sudden you risk giving up 2, and you don't really need to. But it's on its way. We'll see where. It's way out there right now. I know that. It's, they had quite a bit of ice, but this one's way out there. We probably need a little bit of work with Shelley not getting this one going sideways to get any kind of a guard out of it. Good news is she can't make the double without leaving it in the open. I'm gonna have to time a couple here. The ice is really quick. There's been a couple of rocks that Colleen has thrown down there that are just that I just keep thinking they should be sweeping, and they haven't touched, and they've been on the tee line almost. So Christie Gamble's got an out here, and chance to make a double. Double and can't really make the double and roll behind the corner. So you're either going to make the double or maybe make the roll behind the corner, one or the other. I think she'd probably prefer the double. I'd prefer the double if it was me. I don't make a lot of doubles though, so anytime. It's like making birdies in golf.
The double gives you the chance at the blank.
Yeah.
Which is,
which is big.
I think at this point would be a good result.
Well, she'll be close. She's throwing it good. She'll be really close on whatever it is. It's on its way. Probably need to sweep a little bit, I think. But Mary does a great job of calling these, so we'll see. Great shot. She's on her game a little bit today. You can't leave her opportunities like that and expect to get something, get a positive result for your team. So Colleen will play the hit and roll. Probably be, I think, fairly here. She might as well be. And another shot or two here will give you an update of the scores across the boards. Great to be here with the guys from TV1. It's been a week for sure. Enjoyed doing games. We still got lots here to come. As I told you before, we've got 3 draws today, 4 draws tomorrow. Semifinals on Saturday in both the men's and ladies. Finals on Sunday in men's and ladies. And if there's tiebreakers, they will be Saturday morning. So all kinds of action still to come. A whole bunch of volunteers and announcers here looking to bring it to you. So Colleen Pinkney trying to roll behind the corner guard, but that's not going to quite work. Roll the other way. Threw a lot of weight on that shot, but I don't blame her. She's got to make it go away. Not time to be too fancy and over curl. We've seen that a couple times this week too. So Christie Gamble will blank this. Trick here, make sure you hit it first. Sometimes that doesn't happen and you get a little too aggressive with it. And I know in Christie's game yesterday she got pretty aggressive in trying to blank one and just overthrew a little bit and never got the blank, gave up a steal. And you having said that, the other team did the same thing a couple ends later in that game. The only difference was they had a catcher at the back and ended up scoring anyways. It's a funny game sometimes. So it's on its way. Christie will try to throw the weight up a little bit here and front end working hard. Good sweepers on this team. Really good sweepers on this team. Well, you know, there's a, like I say, that's okay. That's not a, it's a miss and it's not. It's, you know, 1 point lead. You definitely want to hit that. You don't want to take a chance of silly and sliding it by. So Christie Gamble will pick up 1 point here in the 7th end and take a 5-3 lead into the 8th. She's in good shape right now. Both teams actually probably not too unhappy with their position. Pinkney's team struggling along here, just kind of not playing the way that they can play, and now they're in a position, if they get a 2, they're kind of controlling the game, playing the even ends and all that stuff.
Yeah, it'll be the same situation as in the 6th, where Pinkney's down 2 and looking to score in an even end. So
exactly, yep.
Christie will do her hardest to try and force once again, although she didn't exactly force in the 6th. It was just a little bit of a line call on Colleen Pinkney's last one that resulted in the score of just 1.
Yeah.
We'll update you on the other games if you haven't been paying attention to nscurl.com. In the Arsenault Brothers game, a score of 1 in the 6th by Jill Brothers. And the 7th leaves it at a tie of 4-4. In the Breen Jones game, Colleen Jones picks up 2 in the 5th. And Teresa Breen scores 1 in the 6th to lead 7-4. And they just finished the 7th end, but I didn't catch what happened there. McAvoy game. McAvoy continues to lead with steals in 5 and 6 and a score of 1 by Dwyer in 7. So Julie McAvoy will lead Emily Dwyer 5-2 with Hammer playing 8. Not a bad position to be in if you're Julie McAvoy.
Oh, absolutely.
So here we go, Jim, another corner guard.
Oh, absolutely, yep. You definitely need a corner guard to have a chance to steal a couple of points. So Christie can't do much about that corner guard right now, so she's going to just play the draw around her own and try to put it in the top of the 4, or maybe she's playing the tap. I don't know why people play the tap. I think the come around is just here. Tap, you have to get 2 things right, really. You got to get the line right and the weight right. And the come around, yeah, the line's sort of right, but you just set the broom and then you just throw the right weight and you're good.
I tend to agree, and it seems difficult. I mean, we've talked about come around stones in the house, but we've seen it happen so much. Ability to come around stones even in the top 8 foot. So you're right, and this looks like it's going to split these wide open.
Well, if this goes over here behind the corner guard at the back of the 8 foot, it's not good for her. So that shot probably helps. Well, might be okay, but it almost, had it went another foot, it would help Colleen Pinkney way more than it helps Chris. I think it's just hard. Like you see there, Mary threw a pretty good shot, so now what you've done basically is you've taken the center of the sheet away from yourself, which is where you want to play, and move the play to the outside, which is where Colleen wants to play. So if I'm Colleen, I'm pretty happy with that result. So it's tough to know what to do all the time, but I just much rather an ice that has curl. If it runs a little straight, that's a different ball game, but ice that has lots of curl, I think you want to play the come around far more than the tap.
Could be a tendency too. It's a good point. The reason I tend to be tempted to play those kind of taps is because oftentimes I'm playing on straight ice here at the Mayflower. Like it's we don't get this kind of curl on Thursday night.
No.
game, so the tap seems easier because you don't have to worry about that much.
No, it's interesting to hear people talk about ice and whatnot, and obviously this is different. This is different rocks, different ice makers, and everything else. But sometimes the host ice maker, it's like I was a golf course superintendent for years, so when you have a tournament, prepping for a tournament, what you can provide for a tournament is one thing, but you can't do that on an everyday basis quite often. It's not sustainable. Same in curling clubs. Sometimes
it requires so much manicuring and care and effort, and the clubs just don't have that.
Yeah, and even just in cost, because basically you're usually gonna run your plant a little bit colder to make sure the surface stays hard. To do that, you run your building a little bit warmer, and I don't know a lot about it, but these are just the basic things that I've known and heard over the years. And so you run your plant a little bit more, heaters run a little bit more, everything's a little bit more, so there's a cost to doing that, and very few curling clubs these days can afford to do that. It's, you can't do that on an everyday basis. You can do it for an event like this, you can do it for a bonspiel, but if it's going to cost you several $1,000s more over the course of the year, you can't. Most clubs can't afford to spend that much more money. So it's a challenge. So for the home ice makers, it's unfortunately they get sometimes compared against this situation and what resources are available here. And not to say that John Wall's certainly an awesome ice maker, understands the game, understands ice and refrigeration stuff far more probably than most people, but sometimes the local guys take a little bit of an unfair shot there. So kudos to everybody and doing the work for this event, and kudos to the guys that are trying to do it on an everyday basis as well.
So we had a stuffed peel there by Kaitlyn Veitch on her first. Didn't get anything good out of it. Left the shooter out front. You can see that on the left up at the far end there. And then been Shelley MacNutt just trying to do another come around. Comes up a bit light, but still is a corner guard.
Yeah, good shot. Well, Kaitlyn set that one back a little bit, but I think it'll curl enough to get to the blue one.
She doesn't want to touch the back one and remove her own stone.
Kind of definition of disaster there. I think it's too bad. She just set it back out at the end, trying to throw that little extra weight, and took the curl away.
So for Team Pinkney, it's game on here.
Yeah, great situation for Colleen now. Options. She is going to come around this one, and that makes perfect sense. She could actually come around the yellow one too if she didn't want to group her two stones together. That wouldn't be the end of the world for sure. You got a little bit of a risk with this one in the sense that if it doesn't curl enough, you might set up a double.
She's by the guard by a little ways,
and that was the problem with that shot. Now it is makeable. It's not real easy to get far enough over to make the double, but it's certainly there, I think.
Controlling the weight here is the call. I don't think Brigitte MacPhail is going to be throwing a ton of weight on this.
No, you're right. This is one of these that you want to throw it firm, no question about it. You don't want to lollygag it down there, but at the same time, you don't have to throw a lot of extra weight, and usually teams and usually individuals get in trouble when they try to do that. So something good and firm, but not over the top would be good for Brigitte. Looked pretty good out of her hand, I think. Uh-oh. Got to curl a long ways yet.
Might have just thrown that touch extra weight that they didn't need to throw with the amount of ice that was called there. It's too bad because it did look like a good throw, I thought, out of her hand.
Yeah, I thought she threw it really good. I don't know if I'm not sure. I don't know if she just threw it too hard or they're just not communicating the weight well enough, because it was a lot of ice for that weight, no question.
For the weight that was thrown.
Yeah, for the weight that was thrown, exactly. Yep. So did she just overthrow it? We don't know.
So the really unfortunate thing is she did tick the stone and pushed it further behind that corner guard. Probably isn't very accessible anymore. I don't know what you can see from the hack. Maybe a tiny bit open, but certainly not for any kind of double.
Way harder than it was a minute ago. Just getting rid of one rock now would be a good shot, where getting rid of two before was a very relatively easy shot. I don't really understand this call by Colleen. I'm pretty surprised to see. It's not terrible. I mean, don't really know why you need to remove that stone. I think it's, I don't know. I just don't know what it is.
Well, they sit 3 now, and there is separation, but you see Mary Mattatall indicating perhaps there's a shot there now, which I would agree with. There's not much else in the way. I mean, she can play a come around, but that's getting pretty risky, and you're not that desperate here.
Maybe not, but I'm not playing this shot either. I'm just going to play the out-turn draw down to those and try to, if I can bump that a few inches, I'll at least be number 2. And
yeah,
this
exactly.
is, she makes this. It's terrific, but I think she pushed it back out. It's close.
Hard to believe you can hit that too thin.
Yeah.
So now this one will go in a better position to be closer to the tee line so that there's no kind of hit and roll for shot stone.
I think Pinkney's got herself set up here really well to score 3, and you know, really did a little bit to make it happen, but really helped more by the gamble team than by what she or her team herself did.
Absolutely, three misses in a row, really. A stuffed peel, a flash peel, an almost flashed hit that made it a worse situation for them. So Team Pinkney really will want to take advantage of this. You don't get gifts like that often.
No, it's tough now for Christie too. It's kind of, with the score being as it is, you still might hit because you figure, well, 3, not the end of the world. If I draw a couple times, I might end up giving it a 4 or 5. But
absolutely,
making this roll is going to be really, really difficult. Well, like we said, Christie's had a pretty good day, so, and Mary certainly has the ability to call these right.
She can certainly get shot stone and bring the play closer to the center. Maybe have a chance on her second to.
Well, I think that's the plan. Yeah, I think you're
shot.
right for sure, Selena. I think if you can get roll it into the 4-foot even and hope that maybe Colleen just hits and stays right there even and sets up some kind of a double or
exactly.
Just something to get you out of here. 2 right now, you wouldn't be terribly unhappy. It'd be nice to get away with 1, but 1's looking pretty difficult. It's a hard turn to make this roll on because you have to really wait on it. Wow, that's so close to being so good. Wow, nice try by Christie. Man, tell you, she deserved a better fate on that one than that for sure. That was so close to being good, being real good. It rolls a foot less, and it's not even, Colleen can't even get it out.
You got to hit a centimeter to the rock, and you end up with a perfect result. And now you're pretty sure you're looking at 3 here.
Yeah.
As long as Colleen can draw to the side of the 8-foot.
Yeah, she'll try to put it back basically in the same place, maybe a little tiny bit deep to make that roll a little bit harder. Just looking over, Marianne Arsenault just gave up steal 1 on sheet. Jill Brothers will take a 5-4 lead. Marianne, you know, she's number 1 seed coming in here, and deservedly so. Hasn't been dominant, though, really, to be honest. She's certainly been pushed. Their game last night she could easily have lost. So they're playing pretty good, but they're not quite where they can be yet either, so. And Emily Dwyer steals 1 on sheet 5 against Julie McAvoy, and still trails, though, 5-3 playing the 9th end. Julie McAvoy with hammer. As the girls sweep real hard to get this one in. I don't know if she's going to get number 3 here. Bad miss for. Be happy with that. She's just a better player than that. Missed the 8-foot in the 8th end is not good for a skip at this level for sure, but.
And
the good news is
at least 6 feet light. I mean,
yeah.
Heavier you get to the spot where you want, even if that was at the weight there, if that line was, if the sweepers could get it there, it wouldn't even be shot. It would have pulled it over to the side of the 12-foot, and they need to be shot over that Yellowstone in the back.
Yeah, you're right. It's could be anywhere as long as it's number 3 back behind the tee lines. Perfect. The shot in here must be a little harder than we think. It just looks to me like it'd be easy to come around, sit on that top blue one, and like I say, maybe move it a couple of inches and be sitting a really good number 2. I think that's easier than playing this shot. Christie's playing the come around the blues, and
I don't know that they looked at that freeze either, Jim.
They haven't for 2 shots, so I'm assuming it just isn't as appealing as it looks from back here.
Yeah, they don't have to move the back blue far to get it, a 1.5 foot to get it back beyond the scoring position that yellow one at the back 12 foot is.
Yeah.
But we'll see what she can do with this.
Well, she's probably, when you're playing well and you're feeling good, you ride a little bit of confidence, and you call and make some shots that are maybe a little more difficult than they need to be sometimes, but girls are working real hard on this. These girls can sweep. Pretty impressed. Got to go hard, though.
They're going for weight here, not line. Line's fine.
They're going to come up short, unfortunately. That sucks as a sweeper to work that hard all the way down and have it come up short.
Yeah, and they didn't even look up. They were heads down right away. So they knew it was light. Sometimes you wonder if the ice conditions change, especially with Christie coming up short, but sweepers weren't confused by that. Normally there's a little bit of a second where they have to take to readjust as the ice conditions change, but they knew out of her hand that was light.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You do see that. You're right for sure. It's you see a couple of rocks that come up short that the sweepers don't start on right away, and then all of a sudden, somebody gets out. Get out the stopwatches and make sure you know what's going on, and inevitably you're like, okay, make the adjustment and go. But yeah, you're right. They were on that right out of her hand.
So shot for 3 for Colleen Pinkney, able to a couple misses, and
this is a huge shot. This is absolutely huge.
Lead, yeah. To take 3 points in a game where there's not been a blank, but all but one end is scores of single.
And no problem with that one for Colleen. So, out of the blue, all of a sudden, Colleen Pinkney scores 3 here in the 8th end and takes a 6-5 lead in a game that really they've been, I don't know if dominated is the right word, but they certainly have been under the gun pretty much the whole game. Good news is for Gamble's team that they are playing well. I think they just overthrew a couple takeouts in that end. That's really the only difference, and that can happen when you have that lead and you're just thinking about making stuff go away, and everybody has to be aware of it. But it's a tough position now. Now you're 1 down. Then with hammer, you really can't score 1. You don't want to score 1 for sure. And the question is, how hard do you go for 2? We saw yesterday when a couple teams tried to take the approach, well, we're going to just hit everything and blank this end. That's great unless you don't blank it. So not always an easy thing. So Colleen's change up the strategy and play this one right into the house. No surprise there. She's basically going to say, I'll throw it in the 4 foot. Christie, you decide how you want to play this end, and then we'll go from there. Sue Creelman delivering lead stones for the Pinkney team and sliding out right over top of the East Coast Credit Union logo. And we're certainly pleased that Coast came on board this year to sponsor the Nova Scotia Men's Championship, the Nova Scotia Tankard, East Coast Credit Union Tankard. And it's been a pleasure to have them on board and really excited about it. The NSCA is certainly real happy with that relationship, and hopefully it'll be something that we can enjoy for several years to come. So Christie's going to throw up the corner guard, so she's going to go after 2 points in this end.
Yeah, I think it's something that you do need to do. If you ever, keep the blank in mind too strongly, and then you end up getting your 2 point or getting forced to 1 in the 10th end, then you have to steal in the extra. I'd like to kind of tie it up in the 10 ends, so get a couple here, or at least you don't always want to be going going home up one without, but when you're in a position where you're down, you got to score points at some point, so I like doing it here.
Yeah, I agree. I think you got to try make a little bit of an effort to go after it here at least, because it's, like I say, blanking is, there's no guarantee you're going to blank, and if you're somebody who can throw it a million miles an hour and never miss the broom, then yeah, you got a pretty good chance. But it's hard to do, and it's not super easy to be sure that you're going to make a blank and you're going to make all the takeouts to go with it. So I think you go a little bit hard. That rock, unfortunately, really ended up more as a center guard than a corner guard, and that's not necessarily a good spot. But you go after it for at least half the end, and if something develops, great, and if it doesn't, you might get a chance to bail. And
I just think so often you see teams go real hard for the blank and 9 to be down one with, playing forced anyway.
Yeah, true enough.
And then they're at a disadvantage, so it's tough either way to be in that position.
Well, I don't really know what Colleen called there, but I'm pretty sure that she was not happy with how she threw it, because I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have been a back line weight. I think that maybe it would have been a top 12. Maybe not a guard, but certainly top 12, and that's at the back of the 12-foot, so almost went out. So Mary's going to be asked to play a hit here on the rock at the top of the 8-foot. Try to roll behind that corner guard. Mary, nice control weight. Watch Mary a little bit in a couple of events this year, and I thought she's throwing the rock really, really good. So she makes that. She doesn't get the roll, but she does make the shot. So Colleen Pinkney now will try to make that same roll. Colleen wouldn't mind stealing one here. She wouldn't be unhappy to be up 2 coming home without the hammer, I don't think.
No, for Pinkney, there's a couple options. The force is great, tied with, or up 2 without. Either result's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. She has the luxury of being able to be a little aggressive for sure. Whoops, they lost that one a little bit.
Undercalled the sweep.
Yeah, I think it just came down a little bit. Weight came off it at the end and over curl. Saw Colleen give a little wave, and I'm sure if we could have heard her, she would have said,
"Good throw."
Yeah, great throw, Shelley. I kind of messed that one up on you.
We just saw a steal of 1 for Colleen Jones, I believe, in the 8th end. So she'll trail Teresa Breen 7-6 without hammer, playing 9.
Yeah, and I think Tanya made a pretty good shot just to only give up 1, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't see the total setup, but I saw the shot come down. She played some kind of an angle slash shot into the pocket, and I think Colleen was sitting 2. She ended up only getting 1, so...
And we already mentioned the steal of 1 and 8 from Jill Brothers. That was big. She played Marianne Arsenault, and they were tied. And blanked the 7th, and then gave up a steal and 8th. And you got to think that's a bit of a mental defeat. You blank 7 to try and score an 8, and then giving up a steal is not great there. So they're playing 9.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was a big end to score. Like we say all the time, the 8th end point game either way is huge. And to end up giving up a steal just hurts that much more, because really the 8th end, it's you plan on making your last shot, and you can play pretty aggressively, and you just try to leave yourself something that you can score with, and as long as you score 1, you're not terribly unhappy. So the Christie Gamble team looking at 2 in the house, 2 Pinkney stones in the house, 1 at the back of the 4-foot, 1 at the back of the 12. 1 at the back of the 12, really not much of an issue. Kaitlyn Veitch will now be asked to remove the rock at the back of the button. Much better slide by Kaitlyn. Should be happy with that. Should come up pretty good. A little difference because she threw a little lighter weight, so much more controllable delivery and a great shot. It's okay that it didn't roll behind the guard. I don't even know that rolling behind the guard was a great thing. If Pinkney makes 1 good shot, all of a sudden you're probably not going to be in good shape. So this might have been a better option. Even rolling another would have been pretty good, because you know that Colleen's going to go after it. And almost no matter what she does, it allows you to come around the guard. Do you think?
Oh, I think the result was great. Colleen is the one that wants to make the rolls behind the center guard, and she can't now. There's a jam yellow onto blue, so wonderful result there. Forcing the play out in, keeping the blank alive.
This looks pretty good from Wendy. Might roll a little bit too far, but not bad at all. Still got it out. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Interesting to see where Christie goes.
Time here. You going for your two, which I think Christie would like. Get a chance to bury one here pretty good. That
just heard. I thought I heard Mary holler down, you want to take a timeout, but maybe not. I like this turn. I like this turn better than the other turn for this shot, actually. There's a, you get it half buried here, you set up a jam, and it's never a bad thing, I think, to take the play to the outside, even if it's half open, you know, when they have to play it, they're not going to be able to roll behind any guards or roll to the center or anything. So I like this shot. And they've played it a lot, so they have a pretty good idea what it's going to do.
Yeah, the only downside is if you're trying to keep the blank alive and this is open. Team Pinkney can make a hit and roll, and then the stones are separated. That's the one downside there, but you make it great, and you're in good position. This one looks pretty nice, actually.
Yeah, really good. I think they didn't know if they really had to sweep it quite that much, but it's a good shot. Kaitlyn working hard on it, all by herself. The old one sweeper theory. It's felt bad last night. The game we did last night with, was it last night? I don't know. One of the games. I forget. They're starting to blend together a little bit, Selena. But anyway,
yesterday
it seemed like
felt like 2 days.
Yeah. No, you know what? It was a Jamie Murphy game. It seemed like Phil Kroll was had to sweep every single rock, and Scott Zachary just had to cheer him on. But it changed about lands later, and Scott had to do all the work. So it balances out.
I wonder with the one sweeper change if that's having an impact. Because, yes, it is only one sweeper sweeping a lot of the time. But the benefit is the other sweeper isn't working their butt off to do something that's not being effective. So I wonder if it's actually helping, you know, have more power throughout the game because they're getting a little bit more rest.
Yeah, very interesting point. Actually, maybe we get a chance with the last couple of, particularly the men's teams, about that as they play this week and see if it does. I think you're right. I think you preserve the body a little bit for sweepers. I mean, it makes sense to me that if on rocks that you were going to go hard on before, you're not, you get to take those off sometimes. It's got to be a good thing. Now, you do have to sweep the odd one that you would never have swept before, but that was usually those are not really sweeping that hard. Anyway, we have a couple good shots here, and Wendy Currie came a little bit heavy with hers. I think Brigitte might have underthrown this one a little bit. They're going to have to work really hard to get this one by. Got to go real hard. Oh, great shot.
Just got that by. I thought it was on the guard out of her hands, so she just had back line just through the house weight. Ends up with a great result. Yeah,
I'm not, you know, I knew they wouldn't throw a lot of weight. I just thought they might be going to throw a little more anyway. It was a great shot, great sweeping, and really good result. That's, you know, that's where you see it. Like a Wendy Currie shot, you think, well, it really wasn't that bad, but it was just that little bit too much, too deep. You just need to be 2 feet shallower than that. And it's not much harder to do this. And even if they do it, you at least have a chance to make the draw to the one in the button. Now Colleen's in big trouble here.
Yeah, she's got a tough soft weight hit just to like Team Gamble sit one.
So Marianne's picked up 2 in the 9th end in her game and leads 6-5 over Jill Brothers, playing the 10th end now. Brothers with hammer, and battle of the 2 of the 3 undefeated teams here. One of them's going to remain undefeated and in really good shape after this game, and the other one's still going to be in good shape, but they are going to have a loss. So Colleen will be asked to play this just down to the yellow one and maybe move it a little bit if she can, but keeping hers where Christie won't be able to remove it real easily.
It looked good. They're sweeping it really hard out of her hand, but she's got the little extra weight, so didn't get the same movement. She's got a curl to make contact here and actually move the yellow stones anywhere useful.
Yeah. Just, you know, again, it's just I hate to harp on it, especially now that they're winning, but they just haven't been quite as sharp as they usually are. Even that one, you know, like you say, sweeping early, and it obviously has weight, so it's, you know, you got to make sure you let it take the break. And they might have just swept a little bit too much and never got a chance to make that break. So just little things right now for Colleen's team, and
it's hard to. You feel like you're tight or you underthrew it, and you have a tendency before even the person calling the line in the house says anything. The thrower that's throwing there will say in their mind, or they'll say out loud, "Oh, I threw it light," or I turned it in, and they'll say, "Yep," right out of their hand, right as you're throwing, and. Sweepers like to listen to that because sometimes it's right.
Oh, absolutely,
But sometimes it's absolutely not right, and that may have been the case there. Was just a little bit early and jumping it. So it's important to pay attention to both the line and the weight, and let the sweepers judge on their own. The thrower can think they threw it light, but they've been known to be wrong.
Yeah, true enough. It's even the whole stopwatch thing. You see less and less teams living and dying off the stopwatch now than you used to, but it was never meant to be the be-all to end-all. You have to keep your eyes open. You have to watch and know what the rock looks like going down the sheet.
This was the exact same case, right out of Christie's hand. I think they thought it was tight, and maybe she was, but they swept like crazy. And you get convinced that something's tight, that you got to sweep the whole way.
Yeah.
And they pulled that rock back, and it hit half a rock, and I think that's rolled all the way out. And even if not, there's 2 blues at the back that would have been out counting it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Might not be a bad result, though, as it turns out, because, if you ever that right on the nose and sit there, you might give Colleen possibly a bit of an out as far as where she can hit and roll to.
They did need a roll, but you didn't have to roll that far.
No, I agree. And maybe leave it a little extra weight. But anyway, sheet 5 over here, the bleeding continues a little bit for the McAvoy team. Just gave up a steal or 2 on what, I don't know, looked like a relatively open hit, but because it did tick the guard and ends up giving up a steal or 2. And all of a sudden, Emily Dwyer's team is clawed back to a tie game playing the 10th end, and McAvoy still has hammer.
Maybe a little bit of redemption for Team Dwyer, who gave up a steal of 2 in the 10th last night and ended up losing in an extra.
Yeah, that was not one.
Team Brothers.
Yeah, didn't see that one coming at all. Emily Dwyer's just a great player. She was a great player through junior, and certainly loads of experience. And first Scotties for her, but loads of experience anyways. And to come up that short on a draw in the last end was a bit of a shock for sure. But anyway, they've got a tie game, and we've got probably what's going to end as a tie game here, or maybe a 1-point difference either way. Colleen Pinkney, much better shot this time. See how it goes. And I'm not sure.
Just second shot, maybe. If it is, that's a good shot. Wow, they were looking for that to be frozen. Not an easy shot.
No, really, really big difference whether or not this one's shot or not too. Because or not shot, but second shot. If the blue second shot, you may well be playing it with a little bit of down weight to try to get 3, and if it's not, then you're probably just going to draw with a little bit of a half-hearted effort, really, to be honest, to get 3, because you don't want to touch that blue, and you can't afford to even just rub it, or you're going to give up a.
Yeah, they're looking at it like they have to hit it, so that must be second shot.
Yeah.
And I think it's edge to edge with the yellow guard that's out there.
Yeah. So you got to take a little bit of weight off it. Much the same as Brigitte's shot, really. Just, you can maybe get away with another couple pounds of weight just because Brigitte got really close to the guard. But you want to be pretty close to the guard here. You definitely don't want to hit it on the outside. Christie's pretty confident, though, It just doesn't seem like somebody that... I'm not sure how much skipping she's done over the years. She may well have skipped her whole junior career and everything else, but for somebody that seems to be a little bit new to it down here, at least, confidence up the yin yang. She's a really confident lady, and not afraid to throw these shots at all, it seems. So expect her to be close on this. Make it. She can take a 2-point lead going into the last end, which would be really, really huge. Looked like a good throw out of her hand. Has to curl a little bit, but certainly light enough.
Maybe another team that's not fully convinced of the... there we go now.
Great shot.
That's way more of a roll than I ever thought she could have gotten there. They almost let that go. Didn't get by the guard by much. That'll be a score of 3 after a great last shot. Good draw from Colleen Pinkney. Quite enough there. Needed a couple inches more, so 3 for Team Gamble. responding to the 3 in the 8th from Pinkney. So Gamble will lead by 2 points coming home without hammer.
Yeah, that was a great shot. You saw Christie had a little bunny hop going on there, watching it go down the sheet when she started calling the sweep, and it was got away from them. It's hard because it's hanging out there. You know you can't hit it on the outside, and then all of a sudden, bang, it's gone. So anyway, great shot, and as you said, 2-point lead. Kind of odd game to have 7 ends of ones and almost all ones and 1-2, and then bang, bang, 3 enders back to back. So Colleen's Rock just had to go a little bit further, make that shot a little more difficult, even if it wasn't number 2. It just had to make sure that she couldn't hit it for 3. I'd rather her drawing to that side over there if I had to, but anyway, here we go. Last end. Colleen Pinkney needs 2 to tie and force an extra end.
So game plan for Team Gamble. They can force, so keeping play all in the house. Don't want to really see any guards, so Sweeper's working hard to get this lead stone and Mary Mattatall's into the rings, into a good centerline position, 8 foot, which they do.
So we know Colleen's throwing the, yeah, sorry, Selena. You know Colleen's throwing the corner guard, and then what would you play as your next shot? Because I think there's two ways to go about this with a 2-point lead. What are you thinking you're going to play if you're Christie Gamble on her next one?
Some people favor, and some people favor on their first shot, the throw through.
Yeah.
And they won't put anything in the house. They just want to play peels. I don't think this team, I don't think peels are they can throw the weight, but maybe just don't have the accuracy fully there for that peel game. So probably won't be playing that game. So might just put another one in the rings, loop it around. She's going to throw this one through, though.
Yeah, I kind of like this. I really do. I don't see enough teams play the shot. I think that you get too many rocks of your own in play, and it just muddies the waters and doesn't really help you at the end of the day. So I'm actually liking this play.
Yeah, we've seen enough cases. I agree. I like the through. Get your one in the rings. I like playing the one in the rings on the first shot, because if it's terrible, if you go back house or you're a tight guard, then you can peel it on the second one. If you throw through on the first, and then you try and make your beautiful draw and you miss that, well, you're further into the end and gives the other team a chance. So I like the throw through on the second. It seems odd because a lot of when they're up points, all they want to do on their first stone is throw it through. But I like the way that that one was played.
Well, I think the message out here today is not to be up by 3 or 4 after 6 ends, because looking across the board here now, we've got Colleen Jones stealing another point in the 9th end. So she scores 1 in the 7th, steals the 8th, still the 9th, tied up. And as I mentioned before, Emily Dwyer, basically the same thing, scores 1 in the 7th, steals 1 in the 8th, steals 2 in the 9th, and tied up coming home without the hammer. And McAvoy's team just peeled their own rock off the back of the button, so all of a sudden it's not looking good for her. As the Pinkney team plays the in-turn come around, this should be going to be still pretty quick out there. That's a good shot, real good shot. Probably see Christie go up and peel the corner off. You have to be careful here. You're really making sure here that you don't give up 3. You're willing to give up 2 and play the extra end. That's okay. You can't put yourself in a position where you might give up 3. So she has to take the corner guard off. Even though some people might think, like, why are you doing that? You probably can maybe find a way to get it at that one in the house if you had to, but not what you want to do. This looks like a good shot by Kaitlyn. I think it's going to curl enough. Ooh, not quite. Well, kind of tricky way to do it. Worked out pretty good, I'd say, considering.
That's the most complicated freeze I've ever seen.
It is, yeah. Them left-handers, they're tricky. Anyway, that was a little, I don't know, that one just didn't curl very much. I thought she had that thing all the way down the sheet, but certainly wasn't overthrown. It was just kind of nice control kind of weight. But it ended up in a perfect spot for the Gamble team, no question about it.
Leaves Pinkney shot stone, so the chance for the 2 is still available. But they want 3, so they're going to keep corner guard.
Yeah.
Move that yellow out into the open. They're not worried that it'll promote it to shot stone.
No, you know, that's a great shot. That's a real good shot. Some people might not play that shot, and I think that was a great call. I think you're, again, you don't worry about who shot stone right then. You say, I gotta move that because I can't leave it there. It's too hard to score a point. And they did. So now they have number 2, number 3, and Christie's out peeling the corner guard again. Kaitlyn hopefully will have a little better run at this one. This one looked again a little bit. Whoa.
This one's come across, so they're going to nose it. I'd hate to see this remove their own.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for sure. I think it's... they're going to have to work on that shot a little bit because it's both those shots I thought were thrown with a lot less weight than I thought they would throw them, but as a result of overthrowing a couple earlier. And good news for Christie Gamble, though. Those rocks are so close together. Getting rid of a couple is probably not too much of a challenge.
Colleen's going to put this in to sit 4. Now there's a couple doubles that they'll probably be mention Jim, but I don't hate another guard. We're still on second stones here, and you got to think that all Christie wants to do is bring play into the house and set up doubles.
Yeah, I think you're kind of right, Celine. I think the problem here is that where do you put the guard? And if you put the guard on the 2 on the right green here as we look at it, you leave the center one, and all of a sudden Christie makes some kind of a hit and roll, and you can't get it at all. And
you're absolutely right. I just think that it's still a bit early, and you're going to have time to get at probably a yellow stone in the rings later.
Yeah, true enough. But if you don't put it in the rings, you also have no chance at an 8-ender. So yeah, you always got to keep that in mind.
Fair. That is very fair.
Yeah. So Brigitte's going to throw some kind of a hit and roll here. It doesn't have to be a double, just has to get in the right general direction, and it looks like it's going to do that.
Pretty good for the double, actually.
Doesn't go through that hole. That was unlucky. Again, that's...
in-betweener.
Yeah, and I think it's one that you can learn as a curler, just watching that. If you're out there and you're trying to start to learn to curl competitively, you got to think really hard about where rocks are going to hit. You can't just sort of assume that get it going roughly in the right direction and out, because sometimes it doesn't, like then. Now I actually don't mind the guard.
Yeah, exactly. You can put it right in front of those. There's an in-turn path blocked off by a yellow stone that remains.
Yeah. I also don't mind this shot because safety in numbers. You're going to have 4 of them in there. You're looking at 2 doubles to hold you to 2. So I'm not horrified by just throwing it in the house on the other side again and see what happens.
It's hard not to group the stones as well, like you mentioned. 4 stones in the rings. I mean, when you're only looking at scoring 2 and you've got 2 on either side of the rings, it's really feet of separation. But here, they're not going to be separated. So I think Colleen's thinking is just kind of plunk these ones. They're not behind a guard or anything, but keep them over there. And you may see Christie keep busy in the center of the house, of course, closer to the 4-foot area, to try and group the stones. So that's what she'll do.
Yeah, Christie's almost at a point where you might consider at least bailing on this hitting game and just saying, well, you know what, they've got so many in here now, we better draw to something. She only got 3 rocks to come. She has to make 2 doubles just to get to the next end. Can't be wide here, and she looks out there. She's gonna have to do some real curling. Comes.
Just got it by that top one.
Yeah.
Goes over the top of the back.
Yeah, she just took it with her a little bit on the delivery, slid a little bit wide. Holy cow.
So Colleen Pinkney calling a timeout. Not a bad idea here. They know that they have a chance to win this game, depending on if they can get their rocks in good positions and prevent a couple doubles with only 2 stones remaining for Team Gamble.
I think Christie's playing a draw on her next shot, no matter what she throws here. I think she's playing a draw. It doesn't matter where, and I don't know where the draw is going to be yet, but I think she's playing a draw because I think if I'm Colleen, I'm coming around the corner guard, just putting it in here behind the yellow.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
And then you've got them spaced out so far apart that for Christie to play any kind of a takeout just doesn't really make a lot of sense. I think Christie's in big trouble here, to be honest. I think it's going to be really hard not to give up 3. If Colleen does corner guard, then you say, okay, well, what can you do? Christie either plays the freeze to the one here at the back of the 4-foot, plays the double over there and hopes that that Colleen rolls out on the hit. And if she does, then you're okay. You're going to be able to get out of the end. But if she doesn't, then I don't know what you do.
Yeah, I think so. Team Pinkney deciding on what we've decided is our preferred shot. Just keep one of yours safe and force Christie to make a very difficult double or a very difficult freeze. I think the only one really she can freeze on is the one in the back 8 foot at the right there, and that's not an easy shot.
Nope.
Talked about draw weight being a little bit hit or miss. Christie's had really good draw weight all game, but then we saw a couple where she just threw a bit heavy.
Yeah.
And one in another end where she threw light, so to give up the 3 actually.
Colleen's coach from the Truro Curling Club as well. Dave's done a ton of coaching over the years. Coached junior teams at the national championships for sure. I'm not exactly sure if he's coached this team on a full-time basis for the last few years, but certainly a wealth of experience. Really, really knowledgeable guy. Knows the game, knows the technical part of all of that kind of stuff, and understands the game as well. And we just proved that by calling the exact same shot that we did. So he gets to keep his certification. There's no need to take it to any kind of an appeals committee or anything like that. And Jill Brothers just throws on sheet 2 about 8 inches too deep and gives up a steal and 1 to Marianne Arsenault, and Marianne will improve to 4-0 on her ride to return to the Scotties Tournament of Hearts.
This has to be in. Sweepers won it the whole way, and looks like they'll get it there to a good spot, full 12.
It's hard to believe sometimes, isn't it? You sit here and you say, you're up 2 coming home without the hammer. How the heck did they ever end up with 4 rocks in the house and no guards, basically? Well, you have 1 guard now, but no guards were used until really right now. It's hard to figure out. The game's tough sometimes. Christie could play maybe. I don't know if I like that. I was going to say she could play the double, the crosshouse double kind of, or hit and roll. I just think that's easier to draw there than make the roll there. If they were only sitting 2, or maybe even if they were only sitting 3, I might think about it. But I think you're probably flogging a dead horse with that shot.
The answer to your question about how did this happen was just on the peels.
Yeah.
Just some misses, a stuffed one, and one that was unfortunately ran the opponent's stone onto your shot. Stone in the rings.
And that's why we're such a good team, Selena, because at my age, I tend to forget what happened halfway through the end. And you remember all of it.
I only have a span of about 2 hours, so if you ask me what happened in this game later today, I'll have no idea.
That works for me. I can tell you what happened 6 or 7 weeks ago, but not 20 minutes ago. I really don't like this shot. I know they're going to play it by the look of it. I just really, really don't like this shot. I don't know that.
So it's an up weight double and go for the roll over or hope for the roll out. I mean, it's a double regardless, but she's got to throw a ton of weight. It's fairly thick to make that double, almost nose.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting 2 out with this shot.
Trying to roll 6 feet.
I agree. I don't think if you're trying to make the roll, you're not. So you better make an awfully good roll, because the top blue one that she's going to hit first is going to stay. This rock's never going to go out. She's never going to be able to throw it hard enough to get this one out. So she's going to play the hit and flop on top. And in which case, to me, like I said, I just think it's easier to freeze.
Well, you're looking at 3 even if you make the double.
Yeah.
So.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Well, you know what? Pretty good spot, though. I will say that. But Colleen can just pick it out, and then what do you do? Then maybe you play the draw. Yeah, it might work out in the end. Who knows? She can hit this and stay, though, and sit 4, which doesn't make it better. Never saw the end of this game over here, but I'm thinking that Dwyer might have stolen one, possibly. Stole 2? Okay. So we were just been informed that Emily Dwyer did steal 2, actually, in the 10th end to win that game. 3 straight steals in a row, and
didn't Julie McAvoy score after the 6th end?
No, got to be a disappointment for Julie for sure. She certainly had control of that game halfway through, and it's when the week's going rough, but a great comeback by Emily. Keeps her alive in this event as well. She's at 2-2, I think, now, so.
And 0-4 for MacPhail But yeah, 2 and 2 for.
Yeah, and I think
Dwyer.
yeah, exactly. And 1 and 3 might have been a tough one to come back for. So good for her, good player. I like that team. I like the look of that team, and I don't know how they got down so much in that game, but they came back and picked up a victory. So kudos to Dwyer as Pinkney's takeout comes down here. He's working hard on it. Looks pretty good. Wow.
Sticks the shooter, too. Wow, that was a great shot.
That was a great shot. That wasn't very easy to hit that and stay right there. So now Christie's going to play the draw. I don't know what, not exactly. Oh, Mary was just tapping where she ended up. But
the beauty of that shot of Colleen's is she had rolled out there, and Christie makes a really good freeze and forces Colleen Pinkney to hit and maybe lose the back blue and her shooter.
Yeah.
Then it's only 2 points.
Yeah.
But if that happens now, it's 3 points. So this freeze has to be absolutely dead.
And a really good point, too, and another shot that you shouldn't take too lightly, because the tendency there is, well, just go down there, make it go away, blast it out of there, and then, like you say, if she makes a really good freeze, you may well only score your 2, or maybe not even. Well, quite a finish we got going on here on sheet 2 as they are.
That's a steal.
Wow, this is a crazy game, this curling. So Colleen Jones steals one. I don't know how it happened exactly. I don't know if it was a real challenging shot or how it was. But regardless, Jones goes to 4-0. And even with Colleen's history of being as great a curler as she's been for sure, I'm not sure that people would have predicted her 4-0 at this point.
Yeah, she was down 4-0 after 2 ends. And down 7-4 after 6.
Yep, so Jones and Dwyer actually take an identical route to a victory where they just decided the team wasn't going to score after the 6th end, and when you do that, you probably win a lot. So Christie Gamble comes up short. She had perfect line, absolutely perfect line on the freeze, but came up a little short. Colleen Pinkney just needs to make it go away. Sounds easy, but not always quite as easy as it sounds. So the trick here is just to make sure you don't overcurl this. Make sure you hit it anywhere, almost anywhere on the outside or just off of center, and everything goes away and you score 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it might be, and win the game.
Yeah, I don't know. Colleen might be sitting 2 already. Drawn, but I didn't see the overhead. But this is certainly the safer shot.
Well, it's safer in some ways. I don't know if it's totally safer.
Just don't want the jam.
But it worked, yep. I have to believe she was only sitting 1. I don't think she plays the takeout if she's sitting 2. It's just
yeah, I don't
doesn't
think
make sense.
so. It just was 1.
Yeah, actually, when I looked, I thought it was 2. So anyway, regardless, Colleen Pinkney makes the hit and picks up 4 in the last end to defeat Christie Gamble by a score of 10-8. Pretty good game. Certainly started slow for the Pinkney squad, but they came on at the end, and got to be another game that the Campbell has got to be a little bit disappointed with. They really haven't played badly this week. They just haven't been able to put together a victory yet, and probably deserve to have a victory by now. So hopefully they can turn around the next game, and Pinkney's at least got 1 win. She needs 3 more to give herself a chance, but one at a time from here on out.
So we'll catch you back here. Check. We didn't see the end of the score on the Arsenault Brothers game, so check nscurl.com for that score. We'll be back with live streaming on sheet 3 of Murphy versus McLeod in the East Coast Credit Union Tanker, and on sheet 4 we'll feature Thompson versus McDougall. So we will see everyone then at 2 o'clock. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, well, it was just at the top of the house.